Chapter 841. Your Highness. Following this voice, a group of people suddenly walked out from behind Luo Qingtong. These people had a vast and ethereal aura. Almost every one of them was above the saint realm. The aura around them was constantly in harmony with the spiritual energy in the surrounding air. What was even more shocking was that they were wearing the uniforms of the officials. Your Highness, what are you doing here? The court official of the Chu sacred dynasty who spoke first looked at Luo Qingtong, who was surrounded by the Hua family with the Chu family. He hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. The Empress Dowager's wedding ceremony is about to begin. Why aren't you accompanying Empress Dowager at this time? And what's going on? You are from the Hua family? The court official looked at the Hua family who were confronting Luo Qingtong and the others in surprise. The latter and the others' faces were already numb. Your Highness, the Empress Dowager. Empress Dowager. This court official didn't say much, but he clearly explained Luo Qingtong's identity. Other than that young girl who had saved the Great Chu from collapse, thwarted Great Yang's conspiracy, and preserved the Great Chu's throne, who else would be worthy of the respectful salute and the greeting of Your Imperial Highness by the Great Chu imperial family's transcendent sage? There were many princesses in the world, but there was only one person in the entire Chu who could make the court officials bow and bend their knees and call her Your Highness. That was Princess Shengning. She was the holy conferred princess. The faces of the Hua family members instantly turned green. As for the Hua family disciple who was still laughing wildly and asking who Luo Qingtong was and how she dared to say that the Hua family couldn't keep her, he was so shocked that he was speechless, as though his neck was being strangled. His throat made a sound like a rusty machine, and he looked at Luo Qingtong with extreme shock. His face was completely frozen in place. This girl was the holy conferred princess? The holy conferred princess? That Hua clan disciple, who had been incomparably arrogant just a moment ago, was now like a chicken that had its neck choked. The Hua family member who had been watching from the side, with a faint sneer on his face, and didn't take Luo Qingtong's words seriously also changed his expression. How was this possible? This young girl was actually the legendary princess. The Hua family member's forehead instantly broke out in a cold sweat, almost wetting his hair. He thought of the words that the Hua family member had just said to Luo Qingtong and almost fainted in an instant. My God, what did the Hua family members do? They wanted to capture the holy conferred princess and make her the exclusive property of the Hua family members. Thinking of Luo Qingtong's words, just a moment ago, they had treated this sentence as a joke. At this moment, who would treat Luo Qingtong's words as a joke? How is this possible? The Hua family member trembled and said, "The holy conferred princess is so respected. How can she be with such a group of low-level countries?" When he said this, his voice suddenly stopped abruptly. He remembered when Tai Yao and Princess Shengning entered the holy city to propose. They did say that they were from the Luo family of Dongli country. But in the end, the miracle created by Luo Qingtong and Luo Qingtong was amazing. Everyone only remembered the black field behind them and their powerful strength and talent. They forgot where they were from. Princess Shengning was indeed from Dongli country, and the Chu family was also from Dongli country. Chapter 842. That Hua family disciple had already collapsed to the ground, his face filled with indescribable fear and despair. How could he have thought that he would bump into Luo Qingtong, who he could not provoke, when he was just casually bullying a family from a low-level country? Who would have thought that the Rand family, a weak family that he had played with and abandoned, would have Luo Qingtong as their backing? If he had known, he would never have done anything to the Rand family. He would never have had any thoughts about Luo Qingtong, let alone speak rudely to her. He even wanted to worship the Rand family. To be able to be invited to the wedding banquet, the Rand family and the Luo family must have a close relationship. If he had treated Ram Meow Meow well and not humiliated them to death, he might have been able to enter the Hua family and soar to the top. Thinking of this, that Hua family disciple's face was filled with fear, despair, and remorse. Needless to say, the Hua family leader beside him had already knelt on the ground, kowtowing desperately to Luo Qingtong as he begged for mercy. "Your Highness, we have eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. Please spare our lives. Please spare our lives." Behind that Hua family leader was a group of guards who were just about to capture Luo Qingtong back to the Hua family and make her into the Hua family's exclusive property. At this moment, these people's faces were filled with fear and despair. Their bodies were trembling like rice grains, and each one of them knelt on the ground to beg for mercy, almost knocking their foreheads to the point of bleeding. "Your Hua family is powerful. I can't afford to offend you." Luo Qingtong's expression was indifferent, and she had already released the strength she was about to use. If these officials hadn't come just now, these Hua family members would be dead meat. But now that they were here, there was naturally a better way to deal with these people. Delusional of wanting to control me and make me into the Hua family's exclusive property, your Hua family is very bold. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. Hearing her words, the officials in front of her froze. The Hua family was too bold. Anyone who insults the princess will die. Moreover, Luo Qingtong was not an ordinary princess. Behind her was Empress Dowager Yin Shi and Blackfield. These people from the Hua clan were really courting death. "Princess, princess, we didn't know it was you." Everyone from the Hua clan wailed. Their hearts were filled with regret and despair. They hated the troublemaker to the core. If he hadn't tried to hurt Luo Qingtong, the Hua family wouldn't have ended up like this. Humiliating the Si family and humiliating the princess were two completely different crimes. The former could still be saved. The latter could not be saved. "Your Highness, Your Highness." The members of the Hua clan howled in grief, but Luo Qingtong ignored them completely. She directly said to the ministers beside her, "From today onwards, the holy capital will no longer have the Hua clan." Just because they didn't know who she was, they could bully her as they pleased? What if she didn't have her current status today? What if she wasn't strong enough to go against the Hua family? Was he going to let them bully and humiliate him? Just saying that they didn't know was enough? Then if she destroyed the Hua family, she could still say that she was careless and heavy-handed. Luo Qingtong's eyes were cold, but when she looked at the Si family, they became gentle. She still remembered how the Si family desperately tried to delay the Hua family and let her leave. "Grandfather Si, this time you came to the holy capital, don't leave. The Hua family's property will all be inherited by you. All members of the Hua family will be your slaves." Chapter 843. This was the first time Luo Qingtong had used her status as Chu's princess to oppress people. Other than the cries and wails of the Hua clan, the ministers of Chu who came together did not make a sound. The dignity of a princess could not be insulted. That was the title of a princess with the word saint in her name. She was the one who inherited the destiny of a nation. Insulting Luo Qingtong was the same as insulting Chu. Luo Qingtong only destroyed the Hua clan and did not kill them, which was already a great kindness. As for the disposal of the Hua clan, it was all Luo Qingtong's decision. If she wanted to give the Hua clan to others, no one could say anything. It was just that in just one day, the power structure of the holy capital had changed again, which was really beyond everyone's expectations. The people of the Rand clan felt like they were in a dream. They were just being humiliated like ants in front of the Hua clan. That scumbag who cheated and abandoned Ran Miao Miao even wanted to break their legs and throw them out of Chu's holy capital in front of everyone. Now, the people of the Hua clan were kneeling in front of them, wailing and begging for mercy, and were about to become their slaves. And they had also jumped from a weak family from Eastern Fence to a big family in Chu's holy capital. The Hua clan of Holy Capital would become the Ran clan of Holy Capital in the future. This series of rapid changes all came from Luo Qingtong. In front of them was a beautiful and graceful girl. Her Highness the Princess. Luo Qingtong was actually a princess of Chu. Looking at the situation, she was not an ordinary princess. Even the ministers of the Holy Capital had to respect her. And the Hua clan of Holy Capital, a big family that was incomparably confident and arrogant, could be destroyed with a word from Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong, what did she do in Chu? How could she have such honor? Luo clan's girl. Old Master Rant's lips twitched. Before he could speak, Luo Qingtong spoke with a smile. Grandpa Ran, you can stay here at ease. You could be my grandfather's companion. He only has you as an old friend. And the holy capital has far more resources than the Eastern Hedge. For the sake of the Feng family's future, don't refuse. As for the rest, you don't have to worry so much. Luo Qingtong understood Grandfather Rant's concerns. He was afraid that if they suddenly appeared in the holy capital and replaced the Hu clan, they would attract a backlash from the other powers. It would be disadvantageous to her, grandfather, in them. But he didn't know that Empress Dowager Yin Shi was her grandmother. Old Master Luo didn't just want to marry Empress Dowager Yin Shi. With the two of them, the Feng family was as stable as Mount Tai and Holy Capital. No one would find trouble with them, let alone attack her and her grandfather. Empress Dowager Yin Shi would not let such a thing happen. After all, that was the iron-blooded and lofty Empress Dowager Yin Shi who was the regent for a dynasty. Thinking of her grandparents, Luo Qingtong smiled. With Luo Qingtong's persuasion, Grandpa Luo no longer insisted. After all, if he wasn't afraid of implicating Luo Qingtong and Grandpa Luo, he wouldn't refuse at all. The Hu clan of the Holy Capital, how much resources was that? It was enough to transform the Feng family from the inside out. Not to mention that Luo Qingtong had left many experts of the Hu clan as servants. With the Great Chu sacred dynasty's methods, how could they be afraid of a rebellion? This was really like a carp leaping over the dragon gate. Grandpa Luo was so excited that he couldn't control himself. He swore in his heart that from now on, the Feng and Luo clans would live and die together. Chapter 844. Luo Qingtong didn't think too much about it. In the beginning, she only wanted to keep the Luo family in the holy capital to accompany Grandfather Luo. After all, Grandfather Luo didn't have many old friends, and the Luo family was the only one left. Since the Hu family had jumped out to court death, she would naturally fulfill their wish and save the trouble of making arrangements for the Luo family. After clarifying the Hu family's matter, Luo Qingtong leaped and appeared in a remote area outside the holy capital of Great Chu. Now it's time for me to give Grandpa and the others a gift. Luo Qingtong smiled and raised her hand to release her spirit ship. With Luo Qingtong's current status, she could naturally get a better spirit ship. However, Luo Qingtong was already used to this spirit ship. Moreover, Luo Qingtong had drawn many inscription patterns and formations on this spirit ship. Although it looked like an Earth-level spirit ship, in fact, its various functions even surpassed a heaven-level ship. In some aspects, even a heaven-level spirit ship couldn't do it. Therefore, Luo Qingtong didn't change her ship. Let's go. Let's go give Grandpa and Grandma some gifts. After a little disguise, Luo Qingtong put on the sinister and terrifying Rakshasa mask. As the Rakshasa mask was fastened on her face, Luo Qingtong instantly turned into the evil and domineering youth. Evil Dr. Ghost Pupil. Swoosh! Luo Qingtong's figure leaped up. Little Pig jumped out of her sleeve with a big red flower hanging in front of his chest. The whole pig was happy. Let's go. Let's go give the gifts. Little Pig jumped onto the spirit ship, and Luo Qingtong waved her hand. Numerous jade bottles and gift boxes flew out from the ring in her hand like an ocean. In an instant, the entire surface of the spirit ship was covered with jade bottles and gift boxes. If someone knew that these jade bottles were filled with medicinal pills, who knew how many people would be frightened? In the true Spill continent, an alchemist wouldn't easily appear. Only an alchemy grandmaster would be able to come up with something as extravagant as Luo Qingtong. So many medicinal pills as a gift to congratulate a newcomer. The most valuable one was the golden jade and glazed box in Luo Qingtong's hand. Inside was a multicolored radiance that filled the air. It was the bloodline pill, bearing the fate of the Great Yong sacred dynasty and the bloodline power of the seventh prince of Great Yong. Luo Qingtong's slender hands were held in Luo Qingtong's slender hands. Along with the activation of the spirit ship, they flew in the direction of the sacred capital of Great Chu. Yi Qianming also said that he wanted to give a gift. I don't know what he's going to give. Don't be suppressed by me. Luo Qingtong thought so, and the smile on her lips was unusually evil and enchanting. There weren't many opportunities to suppress that man. Thinking about it, she was quite excited. Of course, if she could openly suppress that man with her own strength, she would be even more excited. Thinking so, Luo Qingtong suddenly licked her lips. Let's go. The spirit ship flew to somewhere outside the main gate of the sacred capital of Great Chu. There are already people from the Black Field waiting there. Following Luo Qingtong's order, the group immediately steered the flying boat and flew towards the holy capital of the Great Chu dynasty. Boom, boom, boom. In the imperial palace of Great Chu, seeing Luo Qingtong's fleet coming in and seeing the evil character hanging high above, 12 saluting cannons shot into the sky from all directions of the imperial palace of Great Chu. Chapter 845. In the Great Chu imperial palace, Empress Dowager Yin, Shi, and Old Master Luo were receiving guests from various forces. Old Master Luo had never been as glorious and happy as he was today. Not only had he married his lover and fulfilled the regret of so many years, he was even able to stand in the Great Chu dynasty's imperial palace and invite guests from all over to congratulate him. All of this was something he had never dreamed of before. After knowing that Empress Dowager Yin, she had become the Empress Dowager of Great Chu, Old Master Luo only had one wish, and that was to be able to accompany her by her side. It didn't matter how he lived, whether he lived as an enemy or as a eunuch. Even if he was tortured and resented, it was fine as long as he could be by her side. At that time, how could he have thought that he would be able to marry her in the end? And all of this was thanks to Luo Qingtong. At this moment, after Old Master Luo was busy, he suddenly discovered that Luo Qingtong, who was originally by his side, had disappeared. Strange, where did that girl Qingtong go? Old Master Luo was about to send someone to look for Luo Qingtong when he suddenly heard a clamor outside. This clamor, even at this moment when guests were coming and going, was so clear. Just as Old Master Luo was wondering who could make these guests so surprised, he heard the sound of 12 firecrackers above the imperial palace. In an instant, boom, boom, boom. Amidst the violent rumbling, the voices of the Great Chu imperial palace's guards rang out. Welcome, Your Excellency, Evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye? That magnificent youth who rose from the Black Field's easternly country's branch city and shook the world in just a few months, shocking the 4 great sacred dynasties and the entire eastern region. Everyone's eyes were focused on the entrance of the Great Chu imperial palace, wanting to see the elegant demeanor of this world-shaking youth. Old Master Luo was stunned, not knowing what his granddaughter was going to do. While he was in a daze, Empress Dowager Yin Shi had already hurried over. Let's go, Luo Tong. Let's go welcome the guests. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye's name was like thunder in the 4 great sacred dynasties. With his medical skills and alchemy skills, as well as his status in the Black Field, he was already worthy of Empress Dowager Yin Shi and grandfather Luo personally going out to welcome him. Not to mention the fact that Elder Luo was able to successfully marry her was all thanks to this evil Dr. Gui Tong. Empress Dowager Yin, she didn't believe that Ming Zun of the Black Field would help Master Luo and Luo Qingtong for no reason. It must be the work of this evil Dr. Gui Tong. She pulled Old Master Luo and quickly walked out of the hall. The latter did not know whether to laugh or cry. Only then did he remember that he had forgotten to tell Empress Dowager Yin Shi about Luo Qingtong's identity. The Queen Regent of Great Chu still didn't know that it was her granddaughter who had come. Old Master Luo pulled Empress Dowager Yin Shi back. Just as he was about to say something to her, the sound of a flying spirit boat came from the sky. Many airwaves rolled. As everyone retreated, Luo Qingtong's voice was unusually clear and loud. Entrusted by an old friend, evil Dr. Gui Tong has come to deliver a gift. Congratulations to the Empress Dowager of Great Chu and Empress Dowager Yin Shi for your marriage. I wish the two of you a happy and blissful marriage for 100 years and endless blessings, Luo Qingtong said as she waved her hand. Immediately, people from the Black Field came forward and handed the gift list to the ceremonial official in front of the Great Chu Imperial Palace. Chapter 846. Oh my God! Seeing the contents of the gift list, especially the last one, which was the most important. The chanting officer's hand trembled, and he almost dropped the gift list in his hand. He tried to calm his mind and began to sing the gift list sent by Luo Qingtong. 100 bottles of mind-clearing elixir, 100 bottles of spirit-condensing elixir, 100 bottles of spirit-understanding elixir. The contents of the gift list were sung one after another, and the chanting officer's face became more and more excited. His voice became louder and louder. Even with the Chu sacred dynasty's deep foundation, they were shocked and excited by the pills and resources that Luo Qingtong had sent over. It was not because of anything else. It was because these elixirs were extremely precious. Even if the great Chu royal family had some resources, it was almost the same as what Luo Qingtong had sent. In other words, Luo Qingtong's gift list was almost the same as the collection of the great Chu sacred dynasty's royal family for so many years. Of course, this was talking about elixirs. The people around were also stunned. So many elixirs and resources. The evil Dr. Ghost, I was too generous. It was said that the Luo family was very likely to be related to him, so Blackfield and Mingzun would make a move. They did not expect it to be true. And the resources revealed by the evil Dr. Ghost were also very frightening. The elixirs and resources revealed by her alone were almost the same as the resources of a sacred dynasty. She was comparable to a country alone, not to mention that she had the support of a huge monster like the Blackfield behind her. Just as the people were shocked, they heard the chanting officer's voice suddenly tremble. Then the voice suddenly became incomparably sharp, as if to pierce the sky and go straight to the clouds. Bloodline Elixir 1. Bloodline Elixir? What bloodline elixir? When the people heard this, they were all stunned. They had never heard of the bloodline elixir. What kind of elixir was that? Hearing the name, could it be that after taking this elixir, one could still have the power of the bloodline? How is this possible? The people thought so in their hearts, and suddenly could not help but laugh. Only those who had surpassed the saint realm could inherit the power of the bloodline. Moreover, only the 4 royal families of the 4 great sacred dynasties had the ability to pass down the power of the bloodline from generation to generation. Wait a minute. For great sacred dynasties? Bloodline power? As everyone thought this, they immediately thought of Great Yong's 7th prince, who coveted the throne of Great Chu and was killed by grandfather Luo in Great Chu's imperial palace. It was said that after his death, even his corpse was unable to return to Great Yong. It was detained by Luo Qingtong. Could it be? Their gazes were all gathered on Luo Qingtong. The youth's jade-like hands were holding a jade box. That golden jade glass box entered everyone's eyes, causing them to tremble all over. The jade box was filled with multicolored light. Within it, a golden dragon silhouette was faintly discernible. The fate of Great Yong, the power of bloodline. Many people were shocked when they saw the strange phenomenon that appeared in the jade box. The golden dragon silhouette was the symbol and manifestation of the sacred dynasty's fate. The multicolored light was the manifestation of the bloodline power of the sacred dynasty's royal family. The bloodline elixir given by evil Dr. Gui Tong was the power of the bloodline extracted from Great Yong's 7th prince's body. Heavens! Evil Dr. Gui Tong actually had such a method. Chapter 847. Immediately, everyone looked at the young man standing on top of the spirit ship with an indescribable look of respect and fear. Especially those big families who also had bloodline inheritance. Their eyes were filled with indescribable shock as they looked at Luo Qingtong. And even more people looked at the bloodline pill with an indescribable desire in their eyes. This was a bloodline pill condensed from the bloodline power of a Saint Realm expert of the imperial family. After taking it, one would immediately possess the bloodline power of the other party. Whether it was the eruption of strength or cultivation comprehension, they would far surpass ordinary people. And those experts who had limited talent and potential and were already stuck in a certain realm could immediately break through the shackles of their talent and continue to push their strength forward after taking this bloodline pill. With this bloodline pill, as long as one was not as stupid as a pig, they would be able to cultivate to the saint realm in their lifetime. Not to mention that there was a trace of Great Yong's fate in it. With this trace of Great Yong's fate, the fate of one's forces in the future would be much more vigorous than before, and there would be a lot of talents and geniuses. Among the people present, even those big families and forces whose backgrounds were comparable to the imperial family of Great Chu, looked at the bloodline pill with a burning gaze. Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yin Shi were pleasantly surprised, especially Old Master Luo, especially Elder Luo. He had never expected that his granddaughter would prepare such a huge gift for him without a word. The bloodline power and a trace of Great Yong's 7th Prince's bloodline power. My God, with this bloodline pill, Old Master Luo's position in Great Chu would be as stable as Mount Tai in the future. No one could say that he had climbed the social ladder of Empress Dowager Yin Shi. After all, the merit of saving the throne of Great Chu might be forgotten by people one day. But that trace of Great Yong's fate and the bloodline power of Great Yong's 7th Prince could not be forgotten. With this trace of Great Yong's fate and bloodline power, Old Master Luo was worthy of Empress Dowager Yin Shi. Thank you for the gift, evil Dr. Gue Tong. Even though he was very excited, Old Master Luo still paid attention to not expose his granddaughter's identity in public. After all, as Luo Qingtong created more and more miracles, her identity became more and more eye-catching. Naturally, Elder Luo could see the danger and glory that this represented. Unless Luo Qingtong announced her identity to the public, Grandfather Luo would never reveal her identity to the public. He wanted to protect his granddaughter well, so that she wouldn't fall into someone else's trap. Seeing Grandfather Luo's thoughts, Luo Qingtong's lips curled up slightly under her Rakshasa mask. Her eyes were full of smiles. So this was her grandfather. It was the greatest warmth she had ever felt since she entered this strange world. You're too polite. Luo Qingtong jumped down from the spirit boat and handed the golden jade and glazed box to Grandfather Luo. Then, just as she was about to approach Grandfather Luo, a sudden change occurred. Attack! Along with this cold shout, a cold voice rang out. Among the surrounding guests, many of them rushed towards Luo Qingtong. Among them, there were many powerhouses from the royal families of powerful commanderies. There were also several Saint Realm experts. Evil Dr. Gue Tong Da, and that bloodline pill. Snatch it. Chapter 848. Seeing this scene, the eyes of many experts who had come to participate in the wedding banquet flickered. These people were obviously aiming for the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. It was unknown which power had set them up as pawns in the Great Chu. But the biggest possibility was that they were from Great Yong. After all, it was impossible for the Great Yong royal family to not know that the 7th Prince's body had been refined and his bloodline had been extracted. Since they knew, they naturally had to think of a way to snatch it back. These people were probably pawns they had set up in the Great Chu. Using so many pawns and connections at once, Great Yong was probably determined to snatch the bloodline pill back. Not only that, they also wanted to kill Luo Qingtong, a person who dared to refine their royal bloodline, as a warning to others. If the bloodline pill was really snatched away, then these people, would they be able to reap the benefits? Just as they were thinking this, a figure suddenly appeared beside Luo Qingtong with a boom. He held Luo Qingtong's slender waist with one hand and pulled her into his embrace. In the next second, the silver-gray robe embroidered with gold suddenly flicked his sleeve. In an instant, it was as if a dragon was swimming in golden light, illuminating the earth. The power that came out from the man's robe was extremely powerful and domineering. Almost with a flick, those experts who had already rushed to Luo Qingtong with sinister sneers raise their hands to grab the jade box in her hand, or raise their hands to attack her, were all sent flying backwards by the force of this flick. Among them, there were even those Sage Realm experts who had brazenly attacked. They felt that victory was already in their hands this time, and were prepared to kill and snatch the bloodline pill jade box in Luo Qingtong's hand in one blow before retreating immediately. At that time, they would be free to roam the world. No matter how powerful the Black Field was, they could just find a secluded and desolate mountain range to hide in. As long as they didn't come out, what could they do to them? However, the beauty of their imaginations was completely shattered by the power of the flick. The group of people screamed miserably as they flew backwards at a speed faster than when they were rushing towards Luo Qingtong. Those powerhouses below the Saint Realm were directly sent flying in the air by that blow. They screamed as they turned into ashes. Under the strength of that strike, it was not something they could resist. As for the Sage Realm experts, they spat out mouthfuls of blood. Despite using all their strength, they were still unable to stop themselves from flying backwards. Pooh! Rip! In the sky, the sound of the air being torn apart suddenly resounded. Rumble! The Saint Realm experts were sent flying. They collided with countless people and smashed heavily into the pillars and the ground, causing a series of loud noises and screams. Who gave you the guts to lay your hands on her? Following these tragic cries, an incomparably cold voice came from Luo Qingtong. The man held the young man's waist with one hand and pulled him close to him. The young man's slender figure contrasted sharply with the man's sturdiness. Both of them were dressed in enchanting red clothes, which contrasted well with the cold black clothes. When the enchanting young man and the cold and dignified man stood together, it was as if they were one-on-one. Even though everyone knew that they were the same gender, they couldn't help but feel that the two of them were very compatible. Chapter 849. Seeing this scene, many people exclaimed in low voices. Rumors about Luo Qingtong and Yi Qianxian had been circulating among the four great sacred dynasties. It was said that Ming Zun had fallen in love with evil Dr. Gui Tong and did not hesitate to put down his status to pursue her. These were originally just rumors. Some people believed it, while others did not. However, at this moment, when everyone saw the two of them standing side by side, they all believed this rumor without prior consultation. Who could be so close to Ming Zun? And looking at how Yi Qianxian was clearly half-hugging Luo Qingtong, everyone felt that the rumors were not exaggerated at all. With Yi Qianren's attitude towards Luo Qingtong, it could be said that he loved her talent. But now that he was hugging her in such an open and ambiguous position, it was obvious that this was not something that could be explained by love. Ming Zun really did have the heart to split the peach with evil Dr. Gui Tong. No wonder this supreme of the Black Field had never been close to any woman for so many years. There were only two people by his side to serve him. Everyone looked at Beiqing and Feng Yu, who had appeared behind Yi Qianxian. The two of them felt their hair stand on end as everyone looked at them meaningfully. They wanted to cry, but had no tears. Don't look at us like that. There is nothing between us and Master. The only ones who are not innocent are evil Doctor and Master. The two of them screamed crazily in their hearts, but they did not dare to say it out loud. Ming Zun, seeing the silver-robed, black-haired man appear, the dark golden mask on his face shone with a cold golden light under the sunlight. The group of Sage State experts who had brazenly attacked Luo Qingtong but were sent flying were extremely shocked. Everyone said that Ming Zun was very strong, but no one knew how strong he was. Only now did they know how strong Yi Qianxian was. They had attacked together to kill Luo Qingtong, but Yi Qianxian had easily resolved it. Not only that, with a casual wave of the other party's hand, they were sent flying without any strength to fight back. Strong. Too strong. The hearts of the group of people trembled. Almost instantly, they climbed up from the place where they had been smashed and ran out with all their might. Run! Run! The group of people moved like the wind, each of them desperately using their own life-saving secret techniques. They wanted to escape Yi Qianxian's pursuit under such circumstances. However, the man only glanced at them and said coldly, "Bei Qing, Feng Yu." Yes. The two of them stood up and respectfully nodded at Yi Qianxian. "Master, kill them all." Yes. Bei Qing and Feng Yu accepted the order and immediately rushed out. It was only when they made their move that the crowd realized how powerful the two men who had been serving Yi Qianxian were. Bang, bang, bang. Bei Qing's strength was strong and ferocious. Wherever he went, the Sage State experts who wanted to escape with their severely injured bodies screamed as they were cut in half by the heavy sword in his hand. On the other hand, Feng Yu's body was as light as a feather. In an instant, he appeared in front of a Sage State expert who wanted to escape. He flipped the folding fan in his hand and instantly took the life of the Sage State expert. Boom, boom, boom. The two of them, one strong and one soft, killed the group of Sage State experts who were about to escape in an instant. Seeing this scene, many people who had wanted to take advantage of Luo Qingtong's bloodline elixir turned pale. They secretly rejoiced that they had not taken advantage of the situation to take advantage of it. Chapter 850. The power of the Black Fields, Hell Venerable, was like this. As they thought in their hearts, they all lowered their heads in cold sweat. Yi Qianxian didn't even look at them. He only looked at Empress Dowager, Yin Shi, and Old Master Luo, and said, "I'll leave these people to you. I'll get people to give you all their information." His words meant that the forces behind these people would absolutely not be able to escape. The Black Domain's intelligence network was powerful enough to find out all 8 generations of their ancestors. Thank you, Hell Venerable. Even if they already knew that Great Yone was behind this, Empress Dowager, Yin Shi, and the others might not be able to find evidence. Now that they heard that Yi Qianxian was going to make a move, they were suddenly pleasantly surprised. Especially Empress Dowager Yin Shi. The ugly expression on her face eased. The scene just now was really too thrilling. Those who made a move were all experts from the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty. If they really succeeded, not only would they lose the bloodline pill, their Great Chu would also suffer heavy losses, and they would also have to face the anger of the Black Field. After all, looking at Yi Qianxian's attitude of protecting Luo Qingtong just now, who would believe that there was no ambiguous relationship between the two? Thinking so, even though Empress Dowager Yin Shi's temperament was calm, she was also scared out of cold sweat just now. Not to mention Old Master Luo. He almost couldn't restrain himself and rushed up to ask his granddaughter how she was. Fortunately, he still remembered that he couldn't casually expose his granddaughter's identity and had been restraining himself. But his eyes couldn't help but look at Luo Qingtong. People who didn't know would think that he had just married Empress Dowager Yin Shi and had taken a fancy to the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. "Why are you here so soon?" Luo Qingtong was held in Yi Qianxian's arms and asked with a smile. She sensed the man's presence the moment he appeared. She stood there motionlessly, waiting for him to appear. As for those experts of the Sage Realm, if they could still hurt her in front of this man, then the Black Field Hell Venerable would have long been replaced. Luo Qingtong had absolute confidence in this man's strength. Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows and said, "Those people must have thought that you would appear at the end or at the end." Therefore, when he saw her appear alone with the bloodline pill in her hand, he immediately had evil intentions. He wanted to hit the target with one strike and then immediately escape. It wasn't wrong for them to think that way. If Yi Qianxian wasn't here, Luo Qingtong wouldn't have been able to resist the combined strength of several Sage Realm experts. Unless Little Pig unsealed his strength, but that would instantly suck all of her strength dry and damage her foundation. "My lord, thank you." Luo Qingtong looked up at Yi Qianxian with a smile. The Rakshasa ghost mask on her face was sinister and evil. Coupled with the curve of her lips, she had an indescribable evil charm. "If you really want to thank me, I'll repay you with my body." Yi Qianxian snorted coldly. Just a word of thanks was enough? Did this woman think that his life-saving grace was so cheap? Luo Qingtong coughed lightly and was about to say something when Old Master Luo, who was standing at the side, could not help but step forward and ask, Evil Dr. Ghost Eye, are you all right? Meeting Grandfather Luo's concerned eyes, Luo Qingtong's heart felt warm. She immediately nodded and said, I'm fine. Thank you for your concern, Grand Yao. She looked at Yi Qianxian and said with a smile, May I know what gift the Lord has brought for Grand Yao and Empress Dowager Yin Shi? It was inauspicious for something like this to happen at a wedding. Luo Qingtong didn't want her grandparents' wedding to be ruined. Chapter 851. With Luo Qingtong's question, everyone's eyes immediately focused on Yi Qianxian. They didn't know what kind of gift this supreme Blackfield had prepared. The members of the Chu imperial family had already come out to clean up the mess. Yi Qianxian snorted softly and glanced at Luo Qingtong, knowing that she was using him to divert everyone's attention. However, he did come this time to give gifts to Empress Dowager Yin Shi and Old Master Luo, so he didn't say anything. Moreover, the young girl was in his arms. Luo Qingtong's slender waist was held in his hands and embraced in his arms. Yi Qianxian's expression didn't show it on his face, but he was very happy in his heart. He turned a blind eye to Luo Qingtong's little thoughts. Fengyu, he called in a low voice. His voice was faint and cold. Immediately, the chief protector who was always by his side stepped forward. He respectfully bowed to Old Master Luo and Empress Dowager Yin Shi, saying, Congratulations to Chu's Empress Dowager Yin Shi and Empress Dowager Yin Shi for 100 years of blissful marriage. Year after year, forever after, never let each other down. When he said this, he suddenly took a step forward and took out the gift list he had prepared long ago. He raised it high above his head and presented it to Old Master Luo, saying, This is my master's congratulatory gift to Empress Dowager Yin Shi and Empress Dowager Yin Shi. The announcer standing beside Old Master Luo hurriedly took the gift list from him. However, he had just opened it and glanced at it when he was instantly dumbfounded. Clack! His hand couldn't hold it steady, and the gift list fell to the ground in an instant. Old Master Luo glanced down and was instantly stunned, as if he had been struck by lightning. This gift is too great. Old Master Luo's voice trembled, and his entire body couldn't help but tremble. Fengyu smiled, but didn't say anything. With Old Master Luo's relationship and status with the evil doctor, he should accept this gift. Moreover, this gift was frightening in the eyes of outsiders, but it was nothing to the Blackfield. If it weren't for the fact that the identity of the evil doctor had not been exposed yet, his master would have given him an even bigger gift. While Grandfather Luo's voice was trembling, the announcer on the other side hurriedly picked up the gift list and shouted excitedly, Blackfield has sent a gift. One Blackfield main city. From now on, the Blackfield's main city in the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty has changed hands. Luo Tong, Old Master Luo, is the master of Great Chu Blackfield. All the forces of the Blackfield's main city stationed in the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty will belong to Elder Luo. Furthermore, as long as Luo Tong is still alive, the forces of the Blackfield will not set foot in Great Chu. As the reciter's voice rang out, the entire Great Chu Imperial Palace instantly fell silent. All the forces that had come to attend the wedding banquet looked at the gift list in the hands of the announcer in shock. A gift of city. That was the main city of the Blackfield. Overseeing the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty, it was the center of the Blackfield's forces in the Great Chu Sacred Dynasty. Not only that, but all the forces in it were also taken over by Grandfather Luo. How powerful was a main city that encompassed the entire Great Chu Sacred Dynasty? Perhaps this main city was enough to make Grandfather Luo and the entire Luo family become a first-rate force in Great Chu, enough to be on equal footing with the royal family. Oh my God, the Blackfield's Ming Zun was really amazing when he did not make a move. This was truly a heaven-shaking extravagance, and the people of Great Chu's royal family were even more delighted. All the forces of the Blackfield in Great Chu were taken over by Grandfather Luo, and the latter had married Empress Dowager Yin Shi. Didn't this mean that this huge force would be a part of the royal family's forces in the future? Chapter 852. Everyone looked at the gift list in shock. Empress Dowager Yin, she was also stunned by Yi Qianqian's generous gift. If the Blackfield's Ming Zun stood up for Master Luo before, because he was giving face to the evil Dr. Gui Tong, then what was this gift all about? If it was because of the evil Dr. Gui Tong, then the other party's face was too big, right? And what was the relationship between the other party and the Luo family? Grandpa Luo was also shocked. He didn't take the rumors seriously at all. The Blackfield's Ming Zun took a fancy to his granddaughter. That was simply impossible. Like others, Master Luo also thought that it must be because his granddaughter had a partnership with the Blackfield, so the Blackfield's Ming Zun helped them again and again. But now, it seemed that it didn't make sense. Master Luo's face was full of shock. He looked at Luo Qingtong and then at Yi Qianming, his face full of shock. Luo Qingtong was helpless. She glared at the man in front of her. "Look at how you scare my grandpa." Luo Qingtong originally wanted to find a good opportunity to tell Master Luo. But now, with Yi Qianming's actions, she didn't have to explain so much. If it wasn't for her, how could this man do so much? This gift seemed to be from Master Luo, but in fact, it was to make her feel at ease. With the Blackfield's influence in the Chu dynasty, plus the bloodline pill, she prepared for Master Luo. Whether it was strength or influence, Master Luo would no longer be looked down upon. No one could say that Master Luo married Empress Dowager Yin Shi because he was climbing up the social ladder of the Chu dynasty. No one would say that he married Empress Dowager Yin Shi because of the Chu dynasty's royal family. Luo Qingtong wanted Master Luo to live openly in the Chu dynasty. No one dared to talk about his identity. Now, Yi Qianming helped her do it. If the bloodline pill Luo Qingtong gave Master Luo increased his strength, then no one could talk nonsense about it. At the same time, the trace of Great Yang's national destiny made the Chu dynasty's royal family not dare to treat Master Luo too badly. Then Yi Qianming would give old Master Luo the greatest confidence and support. The leader of all the Blackfield's forces in the Chu dynasty was enough to be comparable to any big family in the Chu dynasty. At the same time, with this gift from Yi Qianming, everyone knew that the relationship between the Luo family and the Dark Region wasn't shallow. At least, it wasn't something that could be easily touched or ridiculed. After today, everyone from the big forces would know that Grandfather Luo was not to be trifled with. This man was really... Luo Qingtong looked at Yi Qianming with bright eyes. Ever since her previous life, she had always been working hard on her own. Whatever she wanted, she got it through her own efforts. This was the first time someone took the initiative to give her all of his things and let her take whatever she wanted. Whether she said it or not, the other party would do the best for her. Luo Qingtong gently covered her heart, feeling the rapid and intense beating inside. She looked at Yi Qianming with eyes that were shining brightly. "Why are you looking at me like this?" Yi Qianming looked straight into Luo Qingtong's eyes. The way the girl looked at him was like a queen looking at her favorite treasure, wanting to completely embed it into her soul. Chapter 853. He liked it when this woman looked at him like this, as if she wanted to plunder his entire being and soul. Yi Qianming knew that Luo Qingtong was the same as him deep down. The more the girl looked at him like this, the more she wanted to control him, which meant that she cared about him. "Luo Qingtong, you can't escape." Yi Qianming's lips curled up slightly, and he tightened his grip on Luo Qingtong's slender waist. If it weren't for the wrong occasion, he would have kissed Luo Qingtong long ago. But even so, he looked at Luo Qingtong with a burning gaze. Their gazes collided in the air, and there was an indescribable affection mixed with an inexplicable contest of strength. "You win this time." Yi Qianming's gift was much bigger than hers. "But I will have a chance to win against you in the future." At that time, she would press this man under her body. "I'll wait for you." The smile on Yi Qianming's lips became even more intense. The people around him who had never seen him smile before let out a suppressed cry of surprise. Once again, they understood the position of the evil Dr. Ghost Eye in his heart. One must know that this supreme of the Blackfield had always been famous for being cold and ruthless. Not to mention laughing, he wouldn't even have the slightest emotional fluctuation. Yi Qianming didn't stay long at the wedding banquet before leaving. His identity was too important, and the atmosphere was too oppressive if he stayed. More importantly, with his identity, he had to sit at the top and enjoy the newlyweds kneeling down to him. How could Yi Qianming let Luo Qingtong's grandfather kneel down to him? He immediately left after giving the gift. But he left Bei Qing and Feng Yu behind to attend the wedding banquet on his behalf. This was enough to give old Master Luo face, so the people didn't dare to look down on the latter. Luo Qingtong left with him. Then she changed back to Luo Qingtong's identity and returned to the banquet. After all, with her identity, it wouldn't be right if she didn't attend this wedding banquet. The wedding banquet lasted for several hours. Only when dusk had fallen and the sky had set in the west did they leave. As for the bridal chamber, who would dare to disturb the Empress Dowager's bridal chamber? Moreover, they were all leaders of major forces, so such things were not popular. Qingtong, Luo Leoi, sent Luo Qingtong all the way out of the Great Chu Imperial Palace. Along the way, he wanted to say something but stopped. Luo Qingtong could see his worries and apprehensions. She couldn't help but laugh. "Well, Grandpa, I know what you want to say. Was it about Yi Qianming? Don't worry, I know what to do." Old Master Luo's heart skipped a beat. His granddaughter actually called Ming Zun by his title so casually. Between the two of them, as expected, sigh, Grandpa is old. When Grandfather Luo said this, he remembered that he had already regained his youth. He suddenly felt embarrassed and quickly said, "My heart is old. As for the matter between you and Ming Zun, it's fine as long as you know your limits. Grandpa is just worried about you." The reputation of the Blackfield's Ming Zun was too resounding, and his strength was too strong. Grandfather Luo was worried that his granddaughter would be wronged in the end. When Luo Qingtong heard this, before she could speak, a figure instantly appeared beside her. "There's nothing to worry about. This Zun will not let her suffer any grievances." The man's figure slowly appeared in the night. That voice was exceptionally sonorous and clear. When Luo Qingtong heard this, she immediately turned her head and looked at the man who appeared beside her. Chapter 854. Swish! That golden light swept towards Luo Qingtong and was quickly caught in her hand. The girl frowned slightly. This golden light was a message she had specially left for Yin Yang and the others, and it was an enhanced version that she had improved. She had previously told Yin Yang and the others not to use it unless it was an emergency. Could it be that they had encountered something in the main city of the Blackfield of the Empire of Qin? Luo Qingtong was thinking when suddenly Bei Qing and Feng Yu appeared beside Yi Qianming. "Master, there is a message from the main city of the Blackfield. The evil doctor's Li from the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin has encountered some problems." As the two spoke, they looked at Luo Qingtong. Yi Qianming had previously told everyone in the Blackfield that anything related to Luo Qingtong was his business. Therefore, as soon as the main city of the Blackfield received the message from the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, they immediately passed it on. The Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin? Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. She opened the message in her hand and read it. It also said that Luo Qingtong should hurry back to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin as soon as possible. After reading the content, Luo Qingtong frowned. The Great Elder of the Holy Academy? He wants me to rush back within 3 days and increase my strength by 1 level. Otherwise, he will expel me and Ling Tianhan from the Holy Academy? What is the background of this Great Elder of the Holy Academy? Luo Qingtong's expression turned serious. Her leave was approved by the Grand Dean, and, looking at the situation, even the Grand Dean couldn't stop him. Yi Qianming also learned the ins and outs of the matter from Bei Qing and Feng Yu. He immediately said, "Is the Great Elder of the Holy Academy's Elders Guild. If he speaks, all the Elders Guild will agree. The Grand Principal is indeed unable to turn the tide by himself. However, it's said that some time ago, He went out to travel because he had comprehended something in his cultivation. He won't be back for a year. When Yi Qianming said this, Luo Qingtong suddenly remembered the agreement she made with the Grand Principal. The other party also asked her to come back after a year. Could it be that it wasn't just because of that grand event? Was it because of the great elder of the Saint Academy? As Luo Qingtong was thinking, Feng Yu's voice rang out. This grand elder of the Sacred Academy is very stubborn and inflexible. They were the most protective of traditions and rules. We've investigated it. It seems that someone deliberately contacted the first elder of the Sacred Academy and called him back from his travels. Hearing this, Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. You mean someone deliberately made things difficult and called back the first elder who was not supposed to be in the Saint Academy? They want me and Ling Tianhan to be expelled from the Saint Academy? We can't rule out this possibility. Feng Yu said. He looked at Luo Qingtong and said, We found out that the person who contacted the first elder of the Saint Academy is most likely Yu Wenma's teacher, the great teacher of the Soul Academy. And the reason should be to avenge Yu Wenma for the destruction of the Yu family. Feng Yu lowered his head and reported. The more he spoke, the more he felt Yi Qianming's gaze on him. But he had to bite the bullet and continue. He doesn't dare to target you, so he must want to vent his anger on the Ling siblings. Through your absence for so many days, he kicked the Ling siblings and the people of the Tianyu Branch Academy out. After all, Ling Tianhan's talent is not weak. At this point, Feng Yu lowered her head completely. Chapter 855. UNMO. This name instantly made Luo Qingtong's eyes turn cold. She was prepared to go back to the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy and ask him to break off the engagement. But she didn't expect the other party to be so restless. She hadn't done anything yet, and he made a move first, especially when he didn't know that she was the evil Dr. Gue Tong. He only knew that she was Luo Qingtong, but he didn't hesitate to sacrifice her in order to take revenge on the Ling siblings. He didn't care that she was his fiancée at all. Luo Qingtong really felt sorry for the original owner. Let's go back. Yuan and Mo wanted to take revenge on the Yuan family, right? She wanted to see who would take revenge on whom. The Luo family and the original owner's debt. She would settle it with him one by one. Luo Qingtong originally wanted to break off the engagement, but since Yuan and Mo wasn't willing, they could play slowly. Time is too tight. Your spirit boat won't be able to make it in time. Yi Qianming's expression was indifferent. He wasn't wrong. The news came from the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy and was taken over by the Blackfield. It had already been a day or two since they received the news. Even if Luo Qingtong was on the best spirit boat, it was absolutely impossible for her to rush from the Great Chu Sacred Academy to the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy. The distance between the two sacred academies was more than thousands of mountains and rivers. When he said this, Luo Qingtong instantly realized the problem. This was troublesome. She frowned. Since the great elder of the Sacred Academy was so stubborn, then if she didn't arrive on time, Ling Tianhan and the others would definitely be stripped of their heaven grade status and driven out of the Empire of Qin's Sacred Academy. At that time, even if he rushed back later, he was afraid that it would be of no use. Luo Qingtong thought of this and frowned. At this time, Yi Qianming's voice sounded. Hold me tight. Luo Qingtong heard this and unconsciously hugged him tightly. In the next second, Yi Qianming waved his sleeve, and with a bang, the space in front of him collapsed. In an instant, Luo Qingtong's vision turned black. Then, the two of them disappeared from the spot. At the same time, in the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin. Bang! Little Overlord Yuan slammed his fist on the table in front of him. Damn it! Yuan and Mo and the others have gone too far. They had heard that the first elder of the Sacred Academy had ordered Luo Qingtong to come back within 3 days. Otherwise, her leave would be canceled and all of them would be driven out of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others weren't afraid of being kicked out. After all, they were able to enter the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin because of Luo Qingtong. But Luo Qingtong, boss, she mustn't be chased out. The Empire of Qin's Holy Academy was the best academy in the Empire of Qin's Holy Dynasty. There were so many resources here, and they were so good that they were much better than those clans outside. Not only that, there were many strong people here who taught all kinds of knowledge. It was much better than learning on their own outside. They had only been here for a while, but they could clearly feel that their strength had improved. If Boss was here, wouldn't her strength increase be even more terrifying? But all of this was about to be destroyed by UNMO and the others. Thinking of the arrogant and humiliating faces of UNMO and the others in front of them, little tyrant Yuan and the others all gritted their teeth. Big brother and I will kneel and beg for mercy in front of UNMO. No matter how they humiliate us, we won't fight back. As long as they ask the first elder of the Sacred Academy to cancel this decision. Ling Yu gritted her teeth. Chapter 856. As the eldest daughter of Duke Ling, Ling Yu was arrogant. But now, she was willing to let this arrogance be trampled on. If they had known that Yuan Ma and the others would use such unscrupulous means to deal with them, they would have bowed their heads no matter how unwilling they were. Luo Qingtong gave them a new life, saved their family, and gave the Ling family a path to heaven. If they caused Luo Qingtong to be unable to study at the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin and lose the best opportunity to cultivate, how could they face the Ling family? Yes. Ling Tianhan also clenched his fists and said in a low voice, "All of this started because of us siblings. Let's go and beg Yuan Ma and the others to let Qingtong go." As he spoke, he walked out with his sword. Just as he stood up, Yuan Little Tyrant pressed him down. "Are you stupid?" Yuan Little Tyrant glared at them. "What's the use of begging them now? They won't let you go. Not to mention now, they wouldn't even let you go before. Didn't you hear what that bastard Yuan Ma said? He wants to kick us out of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Then he can crush us to death at any time. Not only will they cut off our path to cultivation, they can also torture us to death. Even if you go and beg them, they won't stop after torturing you. Why do you want to be humiliated by them? If Boss knows, she definitely won't agree." Sima Qi nodded slightly and said in a deep voice, "Yuan Hu is right. It's useless for you to beg them like this. You're just asking to be humiliated." As he was talking, Su Xiaoxiao's timid voice sounded next to him. I'll go and beg the pharmacist." Her eyes were red, as if she had just cried, but her voice was unusually firm. Boss's strength isn't something they can imagine. She will definitely become stronger in the outside world. First Elder's 3-day agreement isn't fair. Boss isn't even within the borders of the Empire of Qin. How could she make it back in time? I'll go ask the pharmacist and ask him to plead with the Great Elder. It doesn't matter if we're kicked out, but Boss must not be expelled. Su Xiaoxiao had already gained a firm foothold in the pharmaceutical courtyard. She listened to Luo Qingtong's advice and took a different path. Her alchemy talent was completely developed. As of now, the number of medicinal liquids that could be mixed and stacked together had already reached more than 10. The instructors of the Pharmaceutical Institute all regarded her as a genius and cherished her greatly. Even the great teacher of the Medicine Institute had proposed to take her in as his last disciple. That was an existence at the level of a saint alchemist, and he was currently breaking through to become an alchemist. Su Xiaoxiao refused. In her eyes, only Luo Qingtong, the girl who awakened her talent and rescued her from the path of trash, was her companion and mentor. She would not accept the teachings of others. Because in her eyes, no one else could compare to Luo Qingtong. Those instructors who regarded her as a peerless genius hadn't seen how powerful Boss was. Otherwise, they definitely wouldn't think so. However, at this time, for Luo Qingtong, Su Xiaoxiao was willing to go to the pharmacist and ask him to help speak to the Great Elder of the Sacred Institute, so that Luo Qingtong wouldn't be expelled. It's useless. Sima Qi shook his head silently. The Great Elder has the Sacred Institute's Council of Elders behind him. The pharmacist is already doing his best to protect you. There's no way he can protect boss. This time, the great elder clearly wanted to make an example out of them. This time, it wasn't just Yuanma who wanted to use this opportunity to deal with them. The Sacred Ancestors' Council of Elders also wanted to use this opportunity to weaken the strength of the Grandine's faction. Unless boss hurried back, this was a dead end. Chapter 857. A group of people barged in from the outside. "What are you doing?" Little Tyrant Yuan and the others turned around and saw the group of people barging in. Their faces immediately turned cold. "What are we doing?" The leader of the group of people who barged in looked indifferent. He suddenly raised his eyebrows and said, "Of course we're chasing you out." "That's right." Another person in green standing next to that person snorted and said, "You and who? Other than Su Xiaoxiao and Sima Qi, the rest of you don't have the right to stay in the Heavenly Hall. Especially you, Ling Tianhan. Cripples should have been kicked out of the Heavenly Hall long ago. If you guys somehow managed to get close to the Grandine, you wouldn't have the right to set foot in the Heavenly Hall." "That's right." As soon as that person spoke, another person also said coldly, "We've long wanted to chase you guys out for tarnishing the Heavenly Hall's reputation. If others saw you guys, they would think that the people of the Heavenly Hall of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin are trash and useless. You're really letting any Tom, Dick, and Harry into the Heavenly Hall. The Grandine is indeed old and useless." As soon as the other party said this, Little Tyrant Yuan and the others' faces changed instantly. "How dare you speak ill of the Grandine?" The Grandine had always protected them and Luo Qintong. He also tried his best to deal with them during the 3-day agreement. However, when the Grand Elder returned, the Elders Guild immediately made things difficult. With the Academy's rules, the Grandine could do nothing. He was also seriously questioned because of this matter, saying that the Grandine's faction was a joke of the Sacred Academy. They didn't deserve to be the Dean. They wanted to impeach them. They wanted to abolish the Dean and Grandine's duties. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others knew about this. Therefore, it wasn't that the Grandine was unwilling to help them, but that someone wanted to use this matter to bring down the Dean and the others. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others were furious when they heard the other party speak ill of the Grandine in public. The other party definitely saw that the Grandine and the others were about to lose power. That was why they were so unscrupulous. Don't talk so much nonsense with them. They probably think that the Grandine can save them. Unfortunately, the leader sneered. Throw all their belongings out. Chase him out of the Heavenly Hall. Afternoon tomorrow. If Luo Qintong can't make it back in time, we'll kick them all out. Xiao Feng, don't go too far. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others were enraged. Too much. In any case, all of you are going to be kicked out of the Holy Court. What's wrong with that? The leader, Xiao Feng, sneered. They were a group of people from the Heavenly Palace of the Sacred Academy who followed Yuanma's lead. These people were all disciples of the major clans of the Empire of Qin dynasty. He wasn't the most favored in the family, but he wasn't weak either. When they heard little Overlord Yuan and the others' words, they all laughed loudly. Ling Tianhan, do you really think you can turn the tide? Unless that Luo Qintong can travel through time and space, it's impossible for her to make it back in time. Just wait to be driven out of the Empire of Qin. Swoosh! While Xiao Feng and the others were ridiculing Little Tyrant Yuan and the others, in the City Lord Mansion of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin, a thunderous roar tore through the sky. Chapter 858. Tearing the Void and Crossing with Your Body. Luo Qingtong's eyes sparkled as she looked at the man who was hugging her. Yi Qinming's strength was beyond her imagination. Just how strong was this man? No wonder he said that he didn't need to pass through the hidden world when he came from the outer realm. Yi Qinming's expression was indifferent. With his current strength, he needed to save up for a long time before he could use this move. And after using it this time, he would need to wait for a long time before he could use it again. The main reason was that his strength had not recovered yet. If he had his previous strength, he could tear the void at will and ignore the continent's barriers and rules. The world's laws and the true Spill continent could not restrain him at all. He didn't need to use the power of the Blackfield City Lord Mansion as a medium to cross the void like now. Go, we are already in the Empire of Qin. One day is enough for you to reach the holy court of the Empire of Qin from here. He let go of the girl in his arms. Luo Qingtong nodded and then looked at him with some worry. Are you okay? The man took her through the void. She didn't know if he used too much power and damaged his meridians. I'm fine. Yi Qianming shook his head lightly. There's an array in the Blackfield City Lord Mansion that I specially drew. It can sense my power and receive it. Luo Qingtong heard him say this and immediately looked around. Sure enough, she sensed many array patterns that had just dissipated. With such a huge power as a guide, Yi Qianming should be fine. Luo Qingtong's heart calmed down. Okay, then I'll go first, Luo Qingtong said, and her lips curled up. She raised her head and kissed the man's lips. Then in the next second, her figure flashed and instantly swept out like a gust of wind and butterfly wings. Her voice was like a silver bell. This is a thank you gift. Touching the marks on his lips, he felt the soft and moist touch of Luo Qingtong's lips on his own. The color in Yi Qianming's eyes deepened. But soon, the expression in his eyes turned cold. Shua! He raised his hand, and a golden light appeared in his hand. This was a message that had suddenly flown over when he was passing through the void with Luo Qingtong. The Lord of the Southern Region has come bearing gifts. My lord, please return quickly. As Yi Qianming raised his hand, the information in the golden light was instantly revealed. Lord of the Southern Region? Yi Qianming's eyes narrowed. He raised his hand and crushed the golden light. With a wave of his body, he disappeared from the main city of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin without alerting anyone. Whoosh! Luo Qingtong rushed out of the Castellan's mansion in the main city of the Empire of Qin. She was still in the disguise of the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Even if the people of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin didn't know how Luo Qingtong appeared in their Castellan's mansion, they didn't dare to stop this person who was placed at the top of their lord's heart. Luo Qingtong smoothly left the Castellan's mansion in the main city of the Empire of Qin. After thinking for a while, she rushed to the place where Yin Yang and the others were. She wanted to ask Yin Yang about the situation in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin and, at the same time, restore her original identity there. Otherwise, it would be too eye-catching to leave the city in the disguise of the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. Luo Qingtong knew that as more and more abilities were revealed in her identity, more and more major forces were looking for her, hoping that she would be alone. With the Black Field, these people didn't dare to touch her openly, but it didn't mean that they wouldn't do it secretly. Chapter 859. Swish! Luo Qingtong's figure rushes towards the place where Yin Yang and the rest are. Before Yin Yang came to the Blackfield's main city of the Empire of Qin, she told her where the place is. Luo Qingtong's figure quickly appears in front of that huge building. That place is located in the center of the Blackfield's main city of the Empire of Qin. There are people coming and going all around, all of whom are here to buy elixirs and medicinal liquids. Luo Qingtong will provide Yin Yang with a batch of medicinal liquids every once in a while, and it depends on whether she is willing to accept the elixirs or not. If she is willing to accept the elixirs, she will let the people of the Black Field give it to Yin Yang after refining it. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye, seeing Luo Qingtong's figure appear, there's a burst of low cries from all around. Master, seeing Luo Qingtong appear, the battle slave experts who are responsible for guarding the shop are pleasantly surprised. A group of people is walking into the shop. At this moment, a burst of noise suddenly comes from the front of the shop. Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Along with these rough voices, a group of fully armed soldiers with incomparably cold auras suddenly pass through the shop opened by Yin Yang and the rest. Humph! What evil Dr. Ghost Eye's medicinal liquids! What unparalleled medical skills! The medicinal liquids sold in our Martial King's shop are not inferior to this at all. What evil doctor name? It's just a bluff. That's right. Get out of the way. A group of people who don't know what is good and what is bad. They're really blind. A large group of soldiers swaggered through the shop. A battle slave expert looks and immediately says angrily, "These bastards, it's starting again." The other people also have a burst of anger on their faces. Luo Qingtong looks and asks, "What's going on?" It was obvious that those soldiers were here to deal with him. Or it could be said that they are targeting Yin Yang and the rest. "Master, you don't know. After we came to the Empire of Qin's Black Field, the Empire of Qin's King Wu also started selling medicinal liquids in the Black Field. It's not far from the left side of our shop." A battle slave expert raised his hand and pointed at a majestic and splendid building not far away. Their shops aren't inferior to ours, and the medicinal liquids they sell are also similar. Ever since they started selling medicinal liquids, soldiers from the army would often come to cause trouble, saying that your medicinal liquids can't compare to the medicinal liquids bought from their shops. When the battle slave expert said this, he was extremely angry. These soldiers were clearly using their master's reputation as a stepping stone to climb up the ranks. They were trying to increase the reputation of their shop's medicinal liquid. It was simply infuriating. However, they didn't come to cause trouble. They only said disgusting things outside, and the Black Field couldn't do anything about it. Coming here a few times a day, it was really disgusting. King Wu of the Empire of Qin? Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows. No matter how she looked at it, the other party seemed to be deliberately competing with Yin Yang and the rest. And it was in a way that trampled on her reputation. Was it a coincidence, or Luo Qingtong slightly squints her eyes? At this moment, Yin Yang and the rest came out to greet her. "Master!" Luo Qingtong looks at the group of stewards behind her and raises her eyebrows. "Are you discussing something? If it's very important, don't worry about me. I'll wait outside for a while." "It's fine." Yin Yang shakes her head and lets the group of stewards leave first. "It's about King Wu of the Empire of Qin. I haven't figured it out yet," Yin Yang says, and then asks, "Master, are you here for the matter of the Holy Institute of the Empire of Qin?" Chapter 860. If this was just a legitimate business competition, Luo Qingtong naturally wouldn't care about him. But if he was deliberately targeting her and the forces under her command, just as Luo Qingtong's eyes slightly narrow, Yin Yang spits out a name that she didn't expect. "I can't find out the specifics. I only know that it was refined by a person called Heavenly Doctor Divine Hand. I previously heard from people in the Black Field that this Heavenly Doctor Divine Hand provoked you in the Black Field's main city of the Great Chu Dynasty. He lost to you in a competition of medicinal skills." Yin Yang oversaw the main city of the Black Field's main city of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qingtong's status in the Black Field wasn't ordinary, so naturally, she was more well-informed than the average person. She quickly found out about what happened in the main city of the Black Field of the Great Chu Dynasty. "Yes." Luo Qingtong lightly nodded her head. "That's right. So she's the person behind King Wu of the Empire of Qin? No wonder the other party would go against us." After figuring out the reason, Luo Qingtong's fingers suddenly stopped tapping on the table. "The next time King Wu of the Empire of Qin's people come to make trouble, don't think of any other way. I didn't give you that platinum token just for show, and I didn't ask you to use it for any convenience in the main city of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin. The next time you encounter such a thing, directly take out the platinum token and chase all those people who said those disgusting words in front of our shop out of the main city of the Black Field of the Empire of Qin. If they don't want to leave, directly break their legs and throw them out. At the same time, forever ban their right to come to the Black Field." Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. She, the evil Dr. Ghost Eye, was never a person who was easy to bully. Others might have scruples about their reputation, and under the circumstances where King Wu of the Empire of Qin's people didn't directly cause trouble, it wasn't good for them to make a move. But what was she afraid of? The Empire of Qin's King Wu's men came in batches. She wanted to see just how many men the Empire of Qin's King Wu had that she could beat. If he has the ability, then he should bring out all the troops of the Empire of Qin. But I'm afraid he doesn't have that ability. Not to mention, the Empire of Qin's Black Field was the place where the major forces of the Empire of Qin traded and obtained resources. only in this neutral city that was under the jurisdiction of Underworld Zune and had absolute deterrence and fairness. Would those big forces and big families dare to do those big transactions that involve huge amounts of money and precious resources? The Empire of Qin's King Wu's army had been banned from entering the main city of the Black Field. The Empire of Qin's King Wu's army had been overthrown. She wanted to see how long he, the king of martial arts of the Empire of Qin, could cover the sky with one hand and run amok. Yes. Hearing Luo Qingtong's words, Yin Yang hurriedly responded happily. She had just gathered everyone to discuss for a long time, but they still couldn't come up with a good way to deal with the Empire of Qin's King Wu. After all, the other party's influence in the Empire of Qin's holy dynasty wasn't weak. When the crown prince was depressed, he was like the sun in the sky. In the future, the Empire of Qin's crown prince might be this person. In a situation where the other party didn't directly cause trouble. Even if Yin Yang had Luo Qingtong's platinum token in her hands, it wouldn't be good for Luo Qingtong to directly make such an enemy. In particular, she was afraid that others would say that they used the platinum token to do whatever they wanted, and she was afraid that it would bring trouble to Luo Qingtong. But now, it seemed that Luo Qingtong wasn't afraid at all. Following such a domineering master, Yin Yang only felt an indescribable exaltation in her heart. Chapter 861. Yin Yang was indeed clever. Her methods were superb. She quickly thought of a way to carry out Luo Qingtong's orders better. Tomorrow, I will invite the main city of the Empire of Qin's Black Field to come as guests. At that time, I will invite the people of the Empire of Qin's King of Wu to come and abuse us. The rest will naturally be decided by the people of the Black Field and the Empire of Qin. After Yin Yang finished speaking, Luo Qingtong immediately glanced at her. What a good plan to kill with a borrowed knife. If the people of the Empire of Qin's King of Wu really fell into this pit, they really wouldn't be able to climb up. At that time, they could only obediently come and apologize. Moreover, Luo Qingtong's side could refuse to accept it. She would first tidy up the people of the Empire of Qin's King of Wu. At that time, when the king of the Empire of Qin appeared, she would properly tidy up the other side. Not only was she in the right, but she also vented her anger. Such a clever mind. She could see through it with just a little bit. Who knows what family Yin Yang was from? Luo Qingtong didn't think that ordinary people in the marketplace could have such superb skills and communication skills. She and Chu Lingfeng, that blockhead's identity was definitely not ordinary. However, this had nothing to do with Luo Qingtong. As long as they were loyal to her, she would protect them. In the future, if they wanted to take revenge, they would take revenge. If they didn't want to take revenge, they would live under her wings. As long as they were loyal to her, she would naturally give them stability. As for their private matters, Luo Qingtong wouldn't ask anything. Who didn't have her own secrets? Luo Qingtong nodded. Okay, we will do as you say. If you encounter such a situation in the future, you can make your own arrangements. You don't need to worry about me. If you really feel that it's hard to choose, just send me a message. Also, Luo Qingtong's hands were lightly clasped together. Her 10 fingers were intertwined, and her fingers were lightly tapping the back of her hand. Pay attention to any news about this heavenly doctor at all times. If there's even the slightest bit of news, let me know. This person had repeatedly clashed with Luo Qingtong. What happened in the Great Chu Imperial Palace could still be considered an accident. However, the main city of the Black region in the Great Chu dynasty was obviously here for her. Moreover, she seemed to have improper thoughts about Yi Qianxian. This time, he appeared in the Empire of Qin's holy dynasty and stood behind King Wu of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qingtong's eyes narrowed slightly. For some reason, she thought of King Ning of the Great Chu sacred dynasty. The latter had also used the hands of the heavenly doctor to poison Empress Dowager Yin Shi of Great Chu. If it wasn't for Luo Qingtong going to find Old Man Luo at that time, Empress Dowager Yin Shi would have been plotted against. At that time, the Great Chu dynasty could only be controlled by King Ning. And now, The empire of Qin's King Wu and the crown prince were fighting for the throne. Behind this, there was also the figure of this heavenly doctor. This matter couldn't help but be thought-provoking. Luo Qintong thought of when she met Crown Prince Ma Chengyi before. The latter's body had the aura of a dying dragon. The technique of seizing luck, it couldn't be this heavenly doctor's doing, right? If this was the case, she would have to become enemies with her again. After all, the Crown Prince had given her medicine before, and that bloodline power fusion technique was enough to make Luo Qintong take action for him. If this heavenly doctor was behind this, Luo Qintong would have to confront her again. Thinking so, the corners of Luo Qintong's lips suddenly curled up. Yes, Yin Yang nodded. Now, tell me about the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy. What's going on? Who sent you the news? The Grand Dean? Chapter 862. Yes, Yin Yang nodded and told Luo Qintong everything that happened in the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. She had received a message from the Grand Dean. Since she was in the Empire of Qin, it was very convenient for her to gather information. In less than 15 minutes, Luo Qintong knew everything. She also knew about Su Xiaoxiao and Yuan Hu's situation in the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. She left in a hurry and didn't ask Bei Qing and Feng Yu about it. So, the Grand Elder of the Saint Institute was really invited back by someone. Luo Qintong narrowed her eyes. Bei Qing and Feng Yu were right. Yes, that's what the Grand Dean said. He also said that this time, someone is not only targeting you, but also targeting them. Yin Yang said, Master, if you don't come back on time, there's nothing he can do. Okay, I got it. After getting the answer she wanted, Luo Qintong stood up. I'm going back to the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin right now. I'll see who dares to touch a hair on my people. I'll make Yuan Hu and the others pay back for all the grievances they suffered in the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qintong's eyes were cold. She wouldn't let anyone around her suffer for nothing. Yuan Hu and the others weren't qualified to be heaven-grade students. But among them, except for Ling Tianhan, almost all of them had just entered the school and could be admitted to the Great Qin Sacred Academy immediately. Just this point alone showed that their potential and qualifications were not inferior to the heaven-grade students of the Saint Institute of the Empire of Qin. The elders only looked at people with old-fashioned eyes. They only saw that Yuan Hu and the others' qualifications were not obvious at the moment. How could they see that they were hiding their strength? It was like a junior high student jumping to Peking University or Tsinghua University. How could you say that he was not as good as the top students of Peking University or Tsinghua University? It was ridiculous. There was also the first elder of the Holy Institute. He wanted her to return within 3 days and raise her strength by 1 level before he would acknowledge her leave. Otherwise, she and Yuan Hu would be kicked out of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. This was clearly done on purpose. She didn't think that she would be able to make it back in time. Tomorrow, she would let them know what a true genius was. Heaven Stage students from the Empire of Qin's Holy Academy? They were all *T. Did they really think that she cared about the resources and treatment of a Heaven Stage student? Luo Qintong's voice was cold. After changing her clothes, she rushed out of the back door and rushed towards the Saint Capital of the Empire of Qin. At the same time, in the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin, Yuan Hu and the others were eventually kicked out by the Heavenly Palace. A group of people stood at the entrance of the Sky Hall's dormitory and were being pointed at by passers-by. Look, it's just a group of people. Other than that Su Xiaoxiao and Sima Ju who have some talent, the others are trash who might not even be able to enter the Earth stage. I heard that there are 2 who might not even be able to enter the profound stage, but they shamelessly went through the back door and entered our heavenly palace. The most shameless one is their so-called boss, Luo Qintong. Not only did she go through the back door, she even took an inch and wanted a mile. She took a few months of leave and still hasn't returned. Don't you think it's disgusting? A group of people pointed at Yuan Hu and the others, causing them to be furious. You're talking nonsense. Our boss is the most powerful. She didn't go through the back door. Little tyrant Yuan was the first to be unable to take it and shouted angrily. Chapter 863. Do you really think no one knows who Luo Qingtong is? Su Jinhua sneered and walked over with a group of people. She didn't even look at little tyrant Yuan and the others. She's just a daughter of an inferior country. Even if she has some strength and talent, she's nothing more than that. How dare you brag about her so much? Do you really think that senior brother will give you a way out just because she's here? Stop joking. Su Jinhua looked very proud and pleased. Senior brother didn't break off the engagement with her just because he pitied her. Who knows what means she used to make senior brother unable to break off the engagement with her. However, as a woman, Luo Qingtong is extremely stupid. She actually helped you deal with senior brother. Does she think that by doing this, senior marshal brother will look at her? Speaking of this, Su Jinhua sneered. However, it's useless. Senior brother doesn't like her. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have the support of evil Dr. Ghostai. This is the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, not the Black Field. As she spoke, she immediately led a group of people and proudly walked past little Overlord Yuan and the others. Lu Long, you will replace them as Heaven Stage students in the future. This is the decision and recommendation of the Dragon Regiment of the Heavenly Palace. It has been approved by the Elders Guild, and no one can doubt it. Those who doubt it can go to the Dragon Regiment to argue. See if you have the ability to do so. Hearing Su Jinhua's words, Ling Tianhan, who had been lowering his head in shame and guilt, suddenly raised his head. Lu Long. His gaze was fixed on the other party. It was this person who had joined forces with others to break his right hand after he entered the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. He knew the injury of his hand like the back of his hand. He knew where the injury on his right hand was the deepest. Even if it was healed, it wasn't as strong as the other parts of his hand. Ling Tianhan still remembered the sneer that Lu Long had when he broke his hand and told him that he was the one who came up with the idea of breaking his right hand to restrict the strength of the Ling family. Ling Tianhan, don't think that just because the Ling family has the support of the evil Dr. Ghostai, you can rest easy. So what if you become the new royal family of the Qianyu Empire? The fifth prince has already set his sights on the Empire of Qin. He would even become an important figure under His Highness King Wu. When I graduate from the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin in the future, the Empire of Tianyu can never compare with me. What's more, if the fifth prince is able to stand out in the grand meeting half a year later, even evil Dr. Ghost, I won't be able to do anything to him. Your Ling family should just wait for his revenge obediently. Today's move is just an appetizer. Lu Long's words flashed through Ling Tianhan's mind, and he almost lost control and rushed over. The latter looked at him and sneered. What? Ling Tianhan, you're not convinced? Unfortunately, what can you do even if you're not convinced? After tomorrow, you and that Luo Qingtong will be kicked out of the house. I like to see how pathetic you are then. It's a pity that Luo Qingtong. She betrayed us and helped others to deal with the fifth prince. If she were here, we would teach her a lesson. Chapter 864. As the group of people spoke, they laughed loudly and proudly walked away in front of Ling Tianhan and the others. Looking at their departing backs, Yuan Hu and the others clenched their fists tightly. These bastards. Once Yuan Mo's revenge was launched, it would cause a huge commotion. Yuan Hu and the others didn't have the strength to fight back. They had just entered the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin to cultivate for a while. He couldn't compare to Yuan Ma's influence and strength in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Yuan Hu and the others clenched their fists tightly. It's all because we're too useless. If it weren't for this, they wouldn't have had to endure such humiliation. Furthermore, they had implicated Luo Qingtong and made her the target of ridicule. If they were strong enough and could directly enter the top 100 of the Soaring Dragon list, they wouldn't be afraid of you when Mo and the others. No matter how much the Grand Elder of the Sacred Academy valued tradition and rules, he wouldn't order them to drop out. They could even have the right to talk to the mentors of the Sacred Institute, like the Heavenly Palace's Dragon Group. Yuan Hu and the others gritted their teeth as they thought about it. He was still not strong enough. He had really lost face for Boss. If the boss was here, Yuan Ma and the others wouldn't have any room to be arrogant. Boss, where are you? Have you heard the news? Could he make it back in time? The group of people bit their lips so hard that they bled. They clenched their fists tightly and pinched their fingers hard. There was an indescribable pain and suffering in his heart. There was both hatred and helplessness towards their own lack of strength, as well as worry and fear towards Luo Qingtong. If Boss really didn't know about the news and couldn't rush back, thinking of the nasty words and arrogance that Yuan Ma and the others would say when the time came, the group was infuriated. At the same time, Luo Qingtong was also rushing towards the holy capital of the Empire of Qin at an extremely fast speed. Your Highness, do you want to protect Ling Tianhan and the others? In the holy capital of the Empire of Qin, a group of people gathered around Ma Chenyi in the Crown Prince's Eastern Palace, where the Crown Prince of the Empire of Qin lived. They looked at the dragon of the Empire of Qin. These people were all heaven-grade students from the Heavenly Hall of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin. Every one of them could be ranked in the top 100 of the heaven ranking of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. At this moment, they were all looking at the young man in front of them, who was like a clear spring, quietly waiting for his decision. We'll see tomorrow, the elegant young man said slowly. This bet is no longer just about Yuan Ma wanting to make a move against the Ling siblings. It is also a battle between the elders of the Sacred Academy and the Grand Supreme Dean's faction. At the same time, his expression was indifferent. It's also because of the fight between me and Mo Chunxian. As Ma Chenyi said this, his eyes narrowed slightly. The cold light that was faintly discernible within them did not reveal itself. Most of the elders in the academy supported Mo Chunxian. As for the Grand Supreme Dean's faction, they supported him. Although the first elder of the Sacred Academy didn't support anyone, he still abided by tradition. Now it was obvious that he was being used as a weapon to attack the Grand Supreme Dean. After the Grand Supreme Dean was defeated, the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin would be completely under the control of the elders of the Sacred Academy. At that time, many students in the Sacred Academy would become Mo Qinxuan's followers. As the king of martial arts of the Empire of Qin, what did Mo Chunxian lack the most after his rise? Connections and power, and a background that was enough to compete with him. Once he controlled the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin, all of these would no longer be a problem. Those students who graduated from the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin were all outstanding figures in the Sacred Dynasty. Chapter 865. Except for a few peerless geniuses, all the powerhouses and ministers in the Empire of Qin came from the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. If Mo Chunxian controlled the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, his power and foundation would be able to compete with Ma Chenyi. Therefore, it was no longer a question of whether Ma Chenyi could protect Ling Tianhan and the others. The question was that the Elders Association would definitely not allow him to protect them. If he had to protect them, there was only one way. That was, the Grand Dean had to take the blame and resign, admitting that he had made a mistake this time. In the future, he would not interfere with anything in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. At the same time, as the disciple of the Grand Dean, the Dean had to accept some punishment. However, in this way, the Grand Dean's power would completely collapse in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Without the Grand Dean, the Dean and the others could not withstand the pressure from the Elders Association. Therefore, Ma Chenyi could not make up his mind at all. The best way is that Luo Qingtong can come back smoothly. It would be best if she could win the bet. In this case, they could suppress the Elders Association of the Saint Academy. However, Ma Chenyi did not know whether Luo Qingtong could do it. After all, 3 days was really too short. If he guessed right, She should have gone back to the Chu after leaving the Empire of Tianyu. In such a short time, even if she received the news immediately, how could she come back immediately? Just as Ma Chenyu was thinking about this, he suddenly received a message. After reading that piece of news, Emo Chanye's elegant eyes suddenly burst out with an incomparably strong light. Afternoon tomorrow. If Luo Qingtong can't come back in time, try your best to protect her and the people around her, at all costs. He said in a low voice and crushed the message. It was sent by the Grand Supreme Dean. The message said that if Luo Qingtong couldn't make it back in time, he would lower his head to the Elders Guild and admit his mistake. He would protect the qualifications of Luo Qingtong and the people around her and ask Ma Chenyi for help. The Grand Principal actually had to make such a choice. He would rather lose his reputation in order to protect Luo Qingtong and the others. It must be known that with the prestige of the Grand Principal, even if Luo Qingtong couldn't make it back in time, no one could do anything to him. At most, some of his rights would be reduced. Now, he made such a choice because he wanted to exchange the Grand Supreme Dean's bloodline for Luo Qingtong and the others to stay in the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Ma Chenye's estimation of Luo Qingtong was already high enough, but he didn't expect that the Grand Dean would be willing to make such a sacrifice for Luo Qingtong. Was that gorgeous and wanton girl really worth the Grand Dean's sacrifice? Ma Chenyi remembered the scene he saw in the imperial palace of the Empire of Tianyu. The girl was dressed in red, dazzling and domineering. Perhaps she was really worth the Grand Supreme Dean using his bloodline to exchange for her. What, Your Highness? Everyone was shocked when they heard this. Then, after knowing that this was the Grand Supreme Dean's decision, they suddenly fell silent. But their hearts were entangled with strong doubts. They didn't know what kind of ability Luo Qingtong and the others had that was worth the Grand Supreme Dean doing this. It must be known that this meant that the Grand Supreme Dean's bloodline was completely abolished. Under such circumstances, the Grand Supreme Dean still wanted to protect Luo Qingtong and the others. Chapter 866. Everyone thought so. Their hearts were filled with doubt and dissatisfaction. Soon, the next day arrived. It was also the last day of the 3-day agreement. If Luo Qingtong couldn't come back after noon, she would be expelled from the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, along with the other students who came from the Tianyu Academy. First Elder was sure that Luo Qingtong couldn't come back. He wanted to let the students of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin know that the rules of the Saint Academy couldn't be violated, so he called all the students here. Almost all the students of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin gathered in the square of the Saint Academy, except for those who went out to practice and those who were in seclusion. Yuan Hu and the others stood in the center of the square. First Elder led the members of the Saint Academy and stood not far in front of them. The Grand Dean led the Dean of the Saint Academy and the others to the left of Yuan Hu and the others. The other places were filled with the students of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Yuan Mo, Su Jinyue, and the others stood not far from First Elder and the others. Yuan Mo was accompanied by Lu Long and the others, as well as some disciples of the Saint Dynasty of the Empire of Qin. Seeing Yuan Hu and the others standing in the center of the square, he sneered. They deserve it. We will avenge the royal family of Tianyu. Today's battle is just the beginning. They won't know what despair is until they are expelled from the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Yuan Mo's face was cold. He looked at the man beside him and said, Haven't you found out the reason? Why did the Crown Prince suddenly help the Ling family? Why did they go to the Empire of Tianyu? Yuan Mo said with a gloomy face. He had sent people to deal with the Ling family. He thought it would be easy, but he didn't expect that the Ling family would be uprooted. Not only that, but King Wu's forces were also involved. He got the news that the envoys offended the Princess of Chu. What a joke. How could those people be so stupid as to offend the Princess of Chu? It seemed that the Crown Prince was purposely punishing the envoys. But Yuan Ma was more concerned about why the Crown Prince would suddenly attack. How could it appear in the Tianyu Empire? It said that the Crown Prince went out with the Grand Tutor for a walk and happened to pass by the Tianyu Empire. He saw them doing things in the name of the Holy Dynasty. The Grand Tutor is going to the Tianyu Empire to congratulate the newly crowned princess of Great Chu. That person said. Ridiculous. Yuan Ma's voice was cold. What country is near the Tianyu Empire? How could a princess of the Great Chu appear in a place like the lower, middle, and upper-tier countries? This is clearly just an excuse. Yuan Ma's eyes were clouded. If he guessed correctly, the crown prince and the others were coming for him. Or perhaps they were aiming for the Martial King Palace behind him. The Ling family was lucky to have been promoted to a commandery by the crown prince. But so what? The crown prince was already at the end of his rope. Sooner or later, King Wu would become the ruler of the Empire of Qin. At that time, he would have plenty of opportunities to slowly play with the Ling family. It was just a commandery. When he stood out in that grand meeting, not to mention a commandery, even the four holy dynasties would have to treat him with respect. At that time, he would definitely avenge the Tianyu imperial family. He wouldn't even let that evil Dr. Ghost Eye go. Chapter 867. On the other side, the corner of the Grand Supreme Dean's mouth twitched as he looked at the sun that was gradually rising above his head. AI Luo Qingtong, you little evil doctor, you've really screwed me over. Didn't I tell you not to take so many days off? Why was I so soft-hearted? Great, now I've screwed myself over. Girl, if you come back in the future, you'll have to work hard for me. Otherwise, I'll take the blame and resign unjustly. The Grand Supreme Dean muttered in his heart as he looked at the sky above his head, feeling a burst of apprehension. He didn't know if that little girl had received the news. Could she come back on time? Just as he was suffering in his heart, Su Xiaoxiao suddenly stepped forward and knelt on the ground, saying, Grand Supreme Dean, instructors, I'm willing to use my chance to stay in exchange for Luo Qingtong to stay. Please don't expel her. The sun above her head was almost at its highest point. Su Xiaoxiao was about to cry. I won't stay in the holy court of the Empire of Qin. I'll use my quota and opportunity in exchange for Luo Qingtong to stay. Instructors, please promise me. Sima Zhu didn't say anything and also took the initiative to stand up. His 10,000 poisons body was very important in a martial arts academy. Like Su Xiaoxiao, he was considered a genius seed in each academy and was very cherished. This time, regarding the expulsion of Luo Qingtong and the people around her, the great teachers of their respective academies had fought hard to protect them. But now, they took the initiative to ask to give up the chance to stay in order to let Luo Qingtong stay. Boss, stay. Let's go. Sima Zhu's words were very concise. The young man's face was like an elf. Originally, he had an untainted temperament, coupled with the cold aura that kept people thousands of miles away that he had cultivated over the years. He was more like a person who walked out of a painting. Only when he talked about Luo Qingtong did he have a trace of human aura. Su Xiaoxiao isn't enough. Add me in change. Nonsense. As soon as his words left his mouth, the two great masters of the Martial Arts Institute and the Pharmaceutical Institute immediately rebuked him. The two of them were saved by him and the others with great difficulty. What was he trying to do? Did they want all their efforts to go to waste? The two of them looked furious. Just as they were about to say something, the first elder of the Sacred Academy's cold voice rang out. Sure, threatening me with this? Do you really think that the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin has no more geniuses without you? The great elder looked at Su Xiaoxiao and Sima Zhu with an unkind expression. If it weren't for the fact that these two people had some redeeming qualities and were considered to be the best of the best among the heaven grade students, he wouldn't have agreed to let them stay. Now, I actually wanted to threaten him with the opportunity to stay behind. Luo Qingtong has seriously violated the rules of the Holy Academy by asking for leave for so many days. No mercy is allowed. The first elder of the Sacred Academy said coldly. He looked at Su Xiaoxiao and Sima Zhu and said, Since you want to accompany her so much, then let's go together. No one is allowed to plead for them anymore. As soon as Luo Wu arrives, Luo Qingtong and the people around her will all be kicked out of the Sacred Academy. The first elder of the Sacred Academy shouted with a cold face. Huh. In the direction of Yuanma and the others, Suit Jinue sneered at once. Chapter 868. However, they would rather not stay in the Saint Academy than let Luo Qingtong stay. Senior brother, they're deliberately trying to disgust you, Su Jinwe said to Yuanma. Humph. Yuanma's voice was cold. That stupid woman. Yuanma's face was full of disdain. He had no feelings for Luo Qingtong before, but now, after what happened to the siblings of the Ling family, he was extremely disgusted by Luo Qingtong. That woman is almost 16 years old, right? His heart was cold. I should find a chance to marry her and then lock her up in a place. Then it doesn't matter what she becomes. As long as he married Luo Qingtong and activated the engagement token, what did Luo Qingtong become in the end have anything to do with him? She was just a woman with mediocre talent and strength, and was stupid enough to be used against him. If it weren't for the fact that the engagement was beneficial to him, he wouldn't have cared about her at all. It was ridiculous that the woman did all kinds of things and even got involved with the people of the Ling family. Thinking of this, Yuanma's heart was full of disgust. At the same time, the sun was high in the sky. It's noon. Hearing this, the people in the square were in an uproar. Humph. The first elder of the Saint Academy said coldly. He snorted and raised his voice. In the history of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, there has never been a student who acted so recklessly. Luo Qingtong of the Tianyu branch doesn't care about the rules of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. After entering the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, she didn't register for the Saint Academy this time. Not only that, but she also asked for leave for many days. The Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin can't afford to have such an arrogant student who doesn't want to study. As for Su Xiaoxiao, Yuan Hu, Sima Zhu, Ling Tianhan, Ling Yuer, Ling Tianshun, and Si Wenhao, who saw her as their boss, they also disrespected the rules of the Great Qin Academy. Now I announce that the students of the Tianyu branch who entered the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin and Luo Qingtong are expelled from the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Before he finished his words, the Grand Dean's voice came from the other side. Wait. He gritted his teeth and stepped forward. All right, all of this is it's my... Before he could finish his words, there was a sudden bang. A loud explosion came from outside. This sound was unusually loud and ear-piercing. In the next second, the voice of the guards of the Great Qin Sacred Academy suddenly rang out. Who? How dare you trespass the Empire of Qin? Hearing this, the expressions of everyone in the square changed. How dare someone trespass the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin? Did they want to die? Everyone looked at the Grand Elder and the Grand Dean. Everyone here was a powerhouse who had surpassed the Sage Realm. Even if the people of the Black Field came to break into the Saint Academy, as long as Mingzun didn't come in person, they wouldn't be able to stop them. While everyone was thinking about this, the Grand Elder on the other side was furious. Bastard! How dare anyone come to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin and behave atrociously? I'd like to see who on earth is. Before he could finish his sentence, a few figures suddenly flew towards the crowd with a loud bang. The next second, these people fell in front of the Grand Elder and the other people of the Saint Academy. There was a burst of wailing everywhere. These people were the guards outside the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. After these people smashed into the ground, a clear and loud sound rang out from not far away. Chapter 869. As he spoke, a fiery red figure slowly stepped into everyone's line of sight. The girl's body seemed to be wrapped in a layer of flames. Her swaying body was like a stamen in the flame. She was extremely beautiful. Her skin was as white as snow, and her lips were as red as fire. Her skirt was swaying like a fiery red lotus swaying in the wind. As soon as Luo Qingtong appeared, she captured everyone's attention. Everyone looked at the girl who seemed to have stepped out of endless flames, and their eyes flashed with amazement. Ma Chenyi, who had just arrived, was even more excited. Luo Qingtong, who are you? The first elder of the Saint Academy looked at the stunningly beautiful girl in front of him suspiciously. Was she also a student of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin? She was so talented and powerful. Why didn't he have any impression of her? Even if she was a student of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, she shouldn't be so arrogant. She even injured the guards of the Saint Academy. She had gone too far. Thinking of this, the first elder of the Saint Academy suddenly scolded her harshly. Since you were a student of the Saint Academy, you should follow the rules of the Saint Academy. How could you injure the guards outside? Before his voice had died away, Su Xiao and the others had rushed up excitedly. Boss, you are back. They were so excited that they couldn't control themselves. Su Xiao and the others had thought that they couldn't stop the first elder from driving them out of the Saint Academy, nor could they protect Luo Qingtong's qualification to enter the Saint Academy. They didn't expect that Luo Qingtong would come back at this time. The group of people laughed and jumped, surrounding Luo Qingtong with indescribable joy and excitement. Everyone present, except for the Grand Dean and Ma Chenyi, was stunned, including Yuanma. Luo Qingtong? Someone exclaimed in a low voice. Looking at the beautiful girl surrounded by Su Xiao and the others, he was shocked and shocked. Oh my God! The domineering and alluring girl in front of him was actually Luo Qingtong, the girl who was rumored to have entered the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin through the back door. She was also extremely arrogant and didn't know her own identity. She even asked for half a year's leave before coming to the Saint Academy. Wasn't it said that Luo Qingtong was only the legitimate daughter of a marquis from a small inferior country? His talent and strength were only average, and he wasn't much of a person. But now, looking at the young girl in front of them, looking at her domineering and proud bearing, everyone simply couldn't imagine that she was just a marquis from a small and inferior country. Most likely, even the legitimate daughters of the great clans in the Holy Dynasty could not compare to her, right? Luo Qingtong's charm was not inferior to the ordinary noble ladies of the Holy Dynasty. No, there was still a chance of victory. If Su Xiao and the others hadn't exposed her identity, they wouldn't have known that she was the girl they had been waiting for. He was also the main character of this 3-day agreement. Luo Qingtong? She is actually Luo Qingtong? Yuanma looked at Luo Qingtong in shock. He hadn't seen Luo Qingtong for a long time. Every time he passed by the eastern border country, he had no interest in seeing his nominal fiancée. Come to think of it, he and Luo Qingtong had not seen each other for almost 10 years. The girl's face was completely out of his expectation. Thinking that Luo Qingtong was called the most beautiful girl in the eastern border country, he thought that people from the inferior country were ignorant. Luo Qingtong might not be comparable to the legitimate daughters of the great clans in the Tianyu Empire. But now it seemed that Luo Qingtong was more than comparable. Chapter 870. Yuanma looked at Luo Qingtong with deep eyes. Before the girl appeared, he would never have thought that his fiancée would look like this. Although Yuanma had a strong first impression of Luo Qingtong, he was disgusted with her. But at this moment, facing the girl opposite him, he had completely forgotten about that feeling. He even vaguely felt a sense of familiarity with Luo Qingtong. It was as if he had seen her somewhere before. But he really had to think. He couldn't remember. Yuanma stared at Luo Qingtong closely. His thoughts had completely changed at this moment. If she was his fiancée, he wouldn't reject this engagement at all. He could even marry her as his real wife and fully fulfill this engagement. Looking at his eyes, Su Jinyue felt anxious. Senior brother. She stomped her feet angrily and said, "Don't forget that she's in cahoots with the Ling siblings. The Ling family and the evil Dr. Ghost, I destroyed your Yuan family together. She's still with them. She clearly doesn't take you seriously." As soon as Su Jinyue's words came out, Yuanma's gaze changed instantly. He looked at Luo Qingtong opposite him with indescribable complexity in his heart. But he still said coldly, "No matter what, She is my fiancée, my future wife. In the past, UNMO had said these words unwillingly, but this time there was some sincerity in them. If it was her, even if she made a mistake, he could forgive her. What's more, Luo Qingtong might not really want to be with the Ling siblings. Thinking of how he didn't care about her all these years, Yuan Ma felt that Luo Qingtong might be hanging out with the Ling family to attract his attention. After all, after she hung out with the Ling siblings, he did pay more attention to her. If this was the case, he could forgive her. Just as Yuan Ma was thinking about this, the first elder of the Holy Academy on the other side had already come to his senses. He shouted at Luo Qingtong sternly, "You are the Luo Qingtong who asked for leave after being admitted to the Holy Academy. Good. All right." The first elder of the Sacred Institute sneered. He didn't like Luo Qingtong in the first place. Seeing that she was so arrogant and unscrupulous, directly injuring the guards of the Saint Academy, he was furious. "Do you even care about the rules of the Sacred Institute? Luo Qingtong, do you know what you've done? You've injured the guards of the Saint Academy without returning your leave." The first elder of the Saint Academy said coldly. He looked at Luo Qingtong with disgust. Ma Chenyi frowned. Just as he was about to step forward, he was stopped by the Grand Principal. The latter winked at him for a while, telling him to just watch from the side. Now that the child of the evil doctor had returned, the great elder of the Holy Academy would be in for a hard time. Luo Qingtong was famous in the Black Field for being protective of her shortcomings and not being at a disadvantage. Since the first elder of the Sacred Academy dared to make a move against the people around her, he could only wait to be humiliated. The Grand Supreme Dean was gloating over his misfortune. "What did I do wrong?" Luo Qingtong looked indifferent. She patted Su Xiao and others on the shoulders, telling them not to worry. Then she looked up at the first elder of the Holy Academy. She glanced at the people present and sneered. "Didn't you ask me to come back as soon as possible in the 3-day appointment? I was stopped at the gate of the Holy Academy. In order to avoid missing the time, I naturally had to make a move. In fact, the guards outside the Holy Academy were on good terms with Su Jinyue and others. After hearing Luo Qingtong's identity, they immediately ridiculed her and tried to stop her." Chapter 871. The Rules of the Sacred Academy. If others obeyed the rules, she would obey them, too. If others didn't obey the rules and wanted to force her to obey them, they would be dreaming. Luo Qingtong walked to the guards who had been blown to the square by her. She lifted her foot and stomped on one of the guards' hands fiercely. The smile on her lips was indescribably evil and bloodthirsty. "I'm starting to suspect that you didn't want me to come back from the very beginning. So you arranged this show on purpose. But now it seems that the play is not good. It's a bad play." Luo Qingtong's smile was cold. The first elder of the Sacred Academy was so angry that his beard trembled. "How dare you? How could we do such a dirty and shameless thing? What's more, even if you come back, so what? I made a bet with the Grand Dean that I still need you to improve your strength. Unless your strength improves and proves that your practice outside is not inferior to your practice in the Sacred Academy, your qualification to enter the Sacred Academy will be revoked. Get out of the Sacred Academy of the Empire of Qin, together with these unruly people around you. This is not a place where you can go through the back door." Hearing this, Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes instantly. "First elder of the Sacred Academy, you keep saying that I'm impudent and go through the back door. I want to ask you, how am I impudent? How am I going through the back door? Is it impudent that I hurt the people who tried to stop me from entering the Sacred Academy and made them deserve it? Or is it impudent that I made your wishful thinking fail? As for going through the back door, tell me, where is the evidence?" Luo Qingtong's smile was evil and cold. In terms of eloquence, 100 first elders of the Sacred Academy were no match for her. Luo Qingtong was hunted down in her previous life. When she couldn't defeat her opponent, she almost angered her opponent to death with her words. Over the years, as her pupil's sorcery became more and more powerful, she stopped talking when she could fight. But it didn't mean that she couldn't talk. "You." The first elder of the Sacred Academy's chest heaved, and his face turned red after hearing her words. That was all because he was angry. I won't quibble with you. If you really have the ability, show me your strength. If you really improve your strength, I'll admit that I've wronged you. Your leave is valid, and their qualification to enter the Sacred Academy will be preserved. Otherwise, all of you can scram. The first elder of the Sacred Academy's strength. He didn't believe Luo Qingtong's strength improve. The strength that the other party had submitted was that of a mid-level martial king. Putting aside the possibility of this strength being fake, even in the Great Qin Sacred Academy, ordinary heaven grade students would not be able to achieve such a feat by raising their cultivation by 1 level in 3 months to the advanced martial king realm. The first elder of the Saint Academy had already looked down on Luo Qingtong because of what Yuan Ma and the others had said. In addition, he knew that Luo Qingtong was only from an inferior country. Does she think she can get away with it? She must be dreaming. Thinking of this, the first elder of the Sacred Academy's academy was not so angry about Luo Qingtong's arrogant behavior. He sneered and looked at Luo Qingtong. He wanted to see how she would humiliate herself. Chapter 872. Luo Qingtong looked at him indifferently and then sneered why. She looked at the first elder of the Saint Academy and sneered. If my strength improves, it proves that I have the ability and confidence to ask for leave. But what does that have to do with you wronging me? Luo Qingtong looked leisurely. She looked at the first elder of the Saint Academy in front of her, whose face was blue and white. He was almost angered to death by her words. She said in a light and melodious voice, "Great elder of the Saint Academy, you really have a good idea. You wronged me, but you don't need to pay any price. You even used the price that I don't need to pay. Am I supposed to be deeply grateful to you? The word shameless that you used earlier was really accurate." Shut up. The first elder of the Saint Academy was so angry that his whole body was trembling. Luo Qingtong's words were sharper than a sword, which made his heart tremble. He had followed the tradition all his life. How could he let others slander his reputation like this? He immediately shouted angrily, "Good. Then tell me, what kind of price do you want us to pay?" The first elder of the Saint Academy was sure that Luo Qingtong was bluffing. The more arrogant she was, the less confident she was. He wanted to see how long she could hold on in the end. Luo Qingtong had been waiting for him to say this. It was worth hiding and suppressing her strength until now. Today she would let these people know what the consequences of looking down on others were. I want all of you to apologize for wronging us and trying to expel us. All the members of the Presbyters Association who were involved in this matter and tried to expel us from the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin should admit their mistakes and bow their heads to apologize to us. At the same time, you can't interfere with the Grand Dean's decision in the future. And you have to admit that me and the people around me are qualified as heaven-grade students. No one can question us anymore. As soon as Luo Qingtong's words came out, the first elder of the Saint Academy and other people's faces turned livid. She wanted them to apologize to these students, and they couldn't interfere with the Grand Dean's decision in the future. Wouldn't they be completely overwhelmed by the Grand Dean's faction in the future? And they had to admit that Luo Qingtong's qualification as heaven-grade students was valid? Luo Qingtong's words made the first elder and other people of the Saint Academy's blue veins on their foreheads. The Grand Dean, on the other hand, was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. I knew that this evil Dr. Kid wouldn't be taken advantage of. If the first elder of the Saint Academy dared to agree to it, let's see if we can't. Even at the elder of the Saint Academy, Qingtong you Qingtong a few times, Luo Qingtong. The first Shui Tong was Qin Yu Shui, the elder of Shui. First for the Yu, elder of Academy. In the future, with Young, with Ely, senior, of the Emperor, of Yus. Moreover, if the first elder and other people of the Saint Academy bowed their heads to them, It would completely wash away the grievances that Luo Qingtong and Su Xiaoxiao had suffered during this time. No matter how one looked at it, Luo Qingtong's conditions were just right. This young girl was truly clever and quick-witted. But could she win? Ma Chengyi thought of how Luo Qingtong and Master Luo won the competition in the Great Chu Imperial Palace, no matter how much he inquired. Especially the news about Luo Qingtong, which was even more suppressed. Could it be that she could really win the bet with the first elder of the Saint Academy? Chapter 873. Wait, Su Jinhua said. First elder, it's not fair. Luo Qingtong must have received the news since she came back in time. What if she used some unconventional method to stimulate her potential and directly improve her strength by one stage? Su Jinhua looked at Luo Qingtong with a sneer. First elder, in my opinion, unless Luo Qingtong's strength has reached the peak of the martial king realm. Otherwise, don't agree with her request. Moreover, the reason she asked for leave is invalid. They will still be driven out of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. What? The peak of the martial king realm? As Su Jinyue's voice sounded, there was a burst of low voices around. No one believed that Luo Qingtong could improve from the intermediate martial king realm to the peak of the martial king realm in 3 months. She had improved by 2 stages in such a short time. It should be noted that the best heaven-grade students in the Saint Academy could only achieve such improvement with the help of various resources and training. Moreover, Luo Qingtong had asked for leave and no one to teach her. Under such circumstances, it was extremely difficult for her to achieve such improvement. So far, only the legendary Dean had improved from the beginner martial king realm to the peak of the martial king realm when he asked for leave. But that was after 1 or 2 years. Moreover, the strength and talent of the legendary Dean were unmatched in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin so far. He was one of the most powerful people in the East region for so many years. For so many years, no one had been able to surpass his fame. How could Luo Qingtong compare with the legendary Dean? It was impossible for her to improve from the intermediate martial king realm to the peak of the martial king realm. Su Jinyue's words were to completely eliminate the chance of Luo Qingtong and the others staying in the Saint Academy. Hearing this, the crowd shook their heads for a while. They already thought that Luo Qingtong would lose. Su Xiaoxiao and the others gritted their teeth and glared at Su Jinhua. This woman was too detestable. Okay, the first elder of the Saint Academy nodded. He was shocked. He had indeed carelessly forgotten about this earlier. If Luo Qingtong really used some underhanded method to raise her strength by a level, then he would lose for sure. Thinking of this, he immediately said to Luo Qingtong, "Just do as Su Jinhua said. Luo Qingtong, if you can reach the peak of the martial king realm, then we will agree to your request. I apologize to you." At the same time, they would no longer interfere with the decisions of the Grand Principal and the others. Furthermore, I acknowledge that your qualifications as a heaven-grade student are valid. Not only that, but will also give you a chance to use the cultivation facilities in the Sacred Court, regardless of the level limit. But if you can't do it, pack up your things and get the hell out of the Empire of Qin with your people. The first elder of the Sacred Institute was confident of winning. He didn't believe that this Luo Qingtong was really that talented. If that was the case, why was the other party so unknown? Moreover, it was said that she had cheated to get into the trash class of the Tianyu Branch Academy. If such a student hadn't hooked up with the evil Dr. Ghost Eye and the Black Field, how could she have entered the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin? It was said that the evil Dr. Ghost Eye had destroyed Yuan Ma's family, the royal family of Tianyu. As Yuan Ma's fiancée, Luo Qingtong still hooked up with the evil Dr. Ghost Eye. She was really heartless. He was going to get rid of such a black sheep today. He would get rid of all the people around her. Luo Qingtong, just say whether you dare or not. If you dare. Chapter 874. He looked at the girl in front of him in shock. He was so shocked that he couldn't speak. Not only him, so were all the people present. The peak of the Martial King realm. A student of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, who had gathered in front of the square to watch the fun, was stunned by the aura that erupted from Luo Qingtong's body. He instantly gasped, "My God!" The peak of the Martial King realm. Luo Qingtong's strength had really advanced to the peak of the Martial King realm. Everyone was shocked to see Luo Qingtong's strength. The medium Martial King realm, the advanced Martial King realm, the peak of the Martial King realm. Luo Qingtong's strength increased from weak to strong. Almost without any hindrance, her strength rose to the peak of the Martial King realm in an instant. This kind of strength increase was extremely smooth. The aura around her was smooth and solid. It was clear that she didn't suddenly advance or forcibly. Luo Qingtong had asked for leave and didn't come back. The strength that she had improved was actually not inferior to that of the outstanding students of the heaven grade of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Seeing this scene, the people of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin were all stunned. What kind of valiant talent was this? Luo Qingtong's strength was actually not inferior to that of the top geniuses of the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin without the same resources and guidance. Just as everyone was shocked, Luo Qingtong's aura had risen to the peak of the Martial King realm. Just when everyone thought that Luo Qingtong's strength and aura would be fixed there, Luo Qingtong's aura suddenly rose. The Martial Royal realm. Looking at the girl's aura, the people around the square were all speechless, except for the Grand Dean, who had already known that Luo Qingtong had reached the Martial Royal realm after the battle with Feng Wan. Everyone else was extremely shocked, especially Yuanma. He looked at the center of the square. She was surrounded by an aura. She was like a goddess who had descended to the mortal world. For the first time in his life, he regretted not asking about her. In 3 months, he had advanced from the intermediate Martial King realm to the Martial Royal realm. No matter what method Luo Qingtong used, it was enough to make her one of the most dazzling geniuses of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. Previously, he had really misjudged him. Just as Yuan Mo was filled with regret, Ma Chen-ye's eyes lit up. Luo Qingtong's increase in strength was completely beyond his expectations. When they first met in the Tianyu Empire, Ma Chen-ye didn't have a clear view of his strength because he had used the power of the Empire of Qin's decree. Only now did they know that this Chu saintly conferred princess, who was able to rival the first princess of Great Yong, possessed of valiant strength and talent. He looked deeply at Luo Qingtong. As for the grand principal beside him, he had been holding it in for so long and could finally laugh out loud. "Huh, great elder. The elders of the Sacred Institute. How's Luo Qingtong's strength? Did she use some method to improve her strength?" Speaking of this, he glanced at the pale Su Jinyue with a mocking look. Then he said loudly, "Okay, apologize quickly. Ha ha ha. Little Luo, come here quickly. Where are the great elder of the Holy Academy and the others? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." As soon as the grand principal said this, the faces of the great elder and the others turned green instantly. In particular, not only did they have to bow their heads and apologize to Luo Qingtong, but they also had to apologize to Su Xiaoxiao and the others. This was even more uncomfortable than killing the great elder and the others. Luo Qingtong smiled slightly and led Su Xiaoxiao and the others over. The latter and the others were elated and proud. The great elder of the Holy Academy held his breath and apologized to Luo Qingtong and the others one by one. Chapter 875. She walked towards Yuanma. Seeing her actions, everyone was stunned. At the same time, they suddenly remembered the relationship between Luo Qingtong and Yuanma. These two people were fiancé and fiancée. Before Luo Qingtong was admitted to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin, before Luo Qingtong was well known, no one knew that she was Yuanma's fiancé. The latter didn't mention anything about Luo Qingtong. It was only later that people slowly heard rumors that the two of them were engaged. At that time, the people of the Sane Academy of the Empire of Qin didn't know Luo Qingtong's strength and talent. In addition, Luo Qingtong had taken so many days of leave and had a bad reputation in the Tianyu Branch Academy. Everyone felt sorry for Yuanma. They thought that he was really unlucky to have a fiancé like Luo Qingtong. But now, it seemed that it wasn't just unlucky. It was clearly a great blessing. Looking at the beautiful and talented young lady, everyone present was filled with envy and jealousy towards Yuanma. It was said that Luo Qingtong was deeply in love with Yuanma in Dongli country. Now, she followed him all the way to the Sane Academy of the Empire of Qin. She didn't care if she was misunderstood. She must be deeply in love with Yuanma. It really made people jealous. Not only people thought so, but Yuanma also thought so. He remembered that when he was young, he often went to Dongli country to get rid of the cold poison in his body. At that time, Luo Qingtong, who was just 2 years old and couldn't remember anything, followed him and called him Brother Mo. When he was a little older, the cold poison in his body was completely removed. Luo Qingtong's mother disappeared, so he didn't go to Dongli country much. But at that time, it was Luo Qingtong who went to the Tianyu Empire. But at that time, he was annoyed and didn't want a fiancée from an inferior country. He didn't want to talk to her at all. After that, Luo Qingtong spent less and less time in the Tianyu Empire. After that, he heard that she was known as the #1 beauty of the Eastern Fence country, and then the #1 genius of the Luo clan and even the entire Eastern Fence country. But at that time, he had already begun to set his sights on the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin. He simply scoffed at Luo Qingtong's achievements. However, he had never expected that this young girl whom he had disdained to even spare a glance would actually shine with a light that was even more dazzling than his own. In a way that no one had expected, she would appear in the Grand Qin Sacred Academy and stand in front of him, although Luo Qingtong ruined his plan. However, Yuanma felt that as long as Luo Qingtong knew her mistake and immediately drew a clear line between her and the Ling siblings, he would let bygones be bygones. No matter what, she was his fiancée, the woman he was going to marry. What's more, Luo Qingtong may not be sincere about hanging out with the Ling siblings. Maybe she did this to protect herself after the evil Dr. Ghost destroyed the royal family of the Tianyu Empire. Or maybe she wanted to attract his attention so that he could pay more attention to her. If so, he was willing to forgive her. What's more, if he could pull her to his side at this time, it would be a big blow to the Ling siblings. Thinking of this, Yuanma immediately walked towards Luo Qingtong. Senior brother. Chapter 876. When Yuanma first came to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin, she had taken a liking to him. For this reason, she begged her father to accept Yuanma, and Yuanma did indeed live up to her expectations. In just a short year, he had already become the fastest-growing student in their academy. He was also one of the most powerful geniuses under her father's tutelage. Su Jinwen knew that Yuanma had a fiancée, but she didn't care at all. How could a mere daughter of a marquis from a low-level country be compared to her? She probably wasn't even fit to carry her shoes. Su Jinwen had never taken Luo Qingtong seriously. But now, looking at the gorgeous and dazzling girl opposite her, Su Jinwen's heart was about to go crazy with jealousy. Senior brother, have you forgotten? She's in cahoots with the Ling siblings. She shouted at Yuanma. The latter ignored her and walked directly to Luo Qingtong. Qingtong. Yuanma looked at the girl in front of him with deep eyes. I'm very happy that you came to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin to find me. His words were spoken with a sense of superiority and superiority. It was as if Luo Qingtong coming to find him was something worth bragging about. In fact, it was so. Looking at the jealous eyes of the surrounding people, it was obvious how enviable it was to be able to win Luo Qingtong's heart, especially since she was beautiful and had good qualifications. However, just as Yuanma spoke, Luo Qingtong's voice rang out. Yuanma, since you're here, let's settle this matter together. As Luo Qingtong spoke, She took out a letter of annulment and a royal jade pendant from her sleeve and threw them in front of Yuanma. 13 years ago, the royal family of Tianyu and the Luo family set up an engagement. Now, Yuanma, we're annulling the engagement. Now, we've gone our separate ways. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. Luo Qingtong's move left Yuanma completely dumbfounded. He still had a reserved and handsome smile on his face. At this moment, because of the annulment letter and imperial jade pendant thrown by Luo Qingtong, the veins on the back of his hands bulged. He clenched his fists fiercely and looked at Luo Qingtong with a cold gaze. Luo Qingtong's words simply put Yuanma's face on the ground and stepped on it. In front of so many people in the Great Qin Sacred Academy, Yuanma had just said those arrogant and condescending words. In the blink of an eye, he was slapped in the face by Luo Qingtong's annulment letter. He thought that she had come to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin to find him and was deeply in love with him. However, Luo Qingtong did come to the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin to find him, but she came to break off the engagement. Yuanma's expression instantly became very ugly. "Qingtong, don't make trouble." He squeezed out these words from between his teeth with a dark face. "If there's anything, we can slowly talk about it later. I admit that I paid attention to you before and neglected you. But isn't it pardonable for cultivation? Don't be willful." As soon as he said this, Luo Qingtong looked at him with a mocking expression. Does this man think I'm stupid? Oh, that's right. This man still thinks I'm the Luo Qingtong from before. The Luo Qingtong who was deeply in love with him and wouldn't marry anyone but him. It's a pity that when she transmigrated and found that the people who came to kill her were sent by Tianyu's imperial family, the heart of the original host had already died. Luo Qingtong said that she would get revenge for the other party and the Luo family. Does Yuanma still think that she still has feelings for him? Luo Qingtong looked at Yuanma with a sneer. Her expression was indifferent. Yuanma, don't say so much. There's nothing to say between us. Chapter 877. Luo Qingtong's voice was cold. Yuanma's heart was filled with anger. Luo Qingtong, there must be a limit to your willfulness. He coldly looked at the beautiful girl standing in front of him. Yuanma knew that he was in the wrong before. He was willing to apologize and make up for Luo Qingtong. But not now, and not in front of everyone, forced to lower his head to Luo Qingtong. The other party used breaking off the engagement to pressure him. She really touched his bottom line. Our marriage was arranged by our parents, by the words of the matchmaker. Luo Qingtong, you don't have the qualifications to break off the engagement. Is that so? Luo Qingtong looked at him and smiled. She knew that Yuanma wouldn't agree to break off the engagement so easily. Although she didn't know why, Luo Qingtong had already made sufficient preparations before coming here. Yuanma had no choice but to break off the engagement. I advise you to take a good look at that annulment. Yuanma. Luo Qingtong slightly swung her sleeves. She raised her head and looked at Yuanma with a sneer. My grandfather and your mother's personal signature and seal are on it. With this annulment, our engagement can be considered completely annulled. The reason why I have to say it again is because you still have my Luo family's engagement token in your hand. Yuanma, the engagement has been annulled. Return my Luo family's engagement token. Luo Qingtong coldly looked at him. At this time, Yuanma's face was so gloomy that it looked like it was about to drip water. He looked at the annulment in front of him in disbelief and found that it was indeed his mother, the Tianyu Empress' personal signature and seal. He suddenly clenched the annulment letter in his hand. This is impossible. He had clearly told his parents that Luo Qingtong meant a lot to him. No matter how much his parents didn't believe it, they would never sign the annulment. Evil Dr. Ghost Eye. It's her. It must be her. She destroyed the Yuan family and forced his mother to sign the annulment. No wonder Luo Qingtong mixed with the Ling family. She had wanted to get rid of the Yuan family for a long time. Did she start to despise the Yuan family because she had climbed up a higher branch? No wonder she kept saying she wanted to break off the engagement. It wasn't an act, She had climbed up the evil Dr. Ghost Eye, thinking that he guessed the truth. Yu Wenma's eyes red with anger. He angrily looked at Luo Qingtong, then suddenly raised his hand and tore the annulment into pieces. Luo Qingtong, don't think that you can use this kind of method to break off the engagement just because you're related to evil Dr. Ghost Eye. So what if my mother's father's? This matter is invalid without my consent. I won't break off the engagement with you. Yu Wenma's eyes blazed as he looked at Luo Qingtong. He had racked his brains and endured the ridicule of his marriage for so many years just to grab hold of Luo Qingtong, the opportunity that would allow him to soar to the top. Now Luo Qingtong wanted to break off the engagement and take back the jade pendant he had relied on to increase his strength. How could this be possible? He would never break off the engagement. Yu Wenma, seeing this, Su Xiao and the others couldn't hold back anymore. They originally thought that boss could solve his own problems. They didn't expect Yu Wenma to be so shameless. Chapter 878. Yu Wenma, you can't be so shameless. Who said the marriage was decided by the parents and the matchmaker? The elders of both sides agreed to cancel the marriage. So what if you don't agree? Little Overlord Yuan yelled, not giving Yu Wenma any face at all. Didn't you despise our boss before? Why? Are you regretting it now that our boss is so powerful? Let me tell you, no way. Not even a window. Little Tyrant Yuan looked at Yu Wenma with indescribable disdain. The others looked at Yu Wenma with different expressions. At this moment, Luo Qingtong's voice sounded. Yu Wenma, I'll make a bet with you. She looked coldly at the man with a dark face and mocked him. I'll challenge you in a month. If you win, I'll never mention the cancellation of the marriage again. If you lose, immediately take out the marriage token of the Luo family and get out of my sight. How about it? Do you dare to compete? Luo Qingtong's voice sounded, and everyone was shocked. Challenge? Luo Qingtong and Yu Wenma? Boss, this won't do. Little Tyrant Yuan, who was mocking Yu Wenma with all his might, couldn't help but cry out when he heard this. Boss, you don't know, but Yu Wenma is already a martial emperor. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others were anxious. It wasn't that they didn't believe in Luo Qingtong's strength. After all, she had killed a novice martial emperor in the imperial family of Tianyu. But the situation now was different. When Luo Qingtong killed the expert who had just entered the martial emperor realm, she was already injured. Little Tyrant Yuan and the others knew that the imperial family of Tianyu had inexplicably offended an expert above the martial saint realm and had their treasury raided. The martial emperor in the imperial family of Tianyu had been seriously injured at that time and hadn't recovered yet. Under such circumstances, the expert who had just entered the martial emperor realm that Luo Qingtong had killed was actually not that powerful. Moreover, Yu Wenma wasn't an ordinary martial emperor. He was also a soul cultivator, possessing the rare soul seal spirit body. His strength was more than several times that of an ordinary martial emperor. Luo Qingtong had just advanced to the martial emperor stage. How could she be a match for Yu Wenma? The group was very anxious, but Luo Qingtong looked at Yu Wenma calmly and said, Yu Wenma, do you dare do it? If you don't have the guts, you can just accept the annulment letter. Give me back my Luo clan's token. At this point, she said with a mocking expression, I forgot to tell you that even if you tear up one of the annulment papers, I still have dozens of them here. You can tear them up however you want. Luo Qingtong said as she took out a stack of annulment papers and threw them on the ground. With the Empress of Tianyu in her hands, she could Luo Qingtong sign as many annulments as she wanted, even if Yuan Mo were to tear everything in front of him apart. Luo Qingtong still had some. Yuan Mo's eyes were red as he looked at the annulment papers thrown by Luo Qingtong. He felt that his face had been ruthlessly thrown to the ground and stepped on by Luo Qingtong. How much did this woman want to annul the engagement with him? How could she write so many annulment papers? Yuan Mo's chest heaved up and down in anger. Then he threw out a few words. Okay, I'll be waiting for you in a month. Chapter 879. Looking at his back, Luo Qingtong narrowed her eyes. Luo girl, you're a bit impulsive. The Grand Dean walked up to her and said, You're very strong, but Yu Wenma isn't an ordinary person. Just leave it to me to deal with the situation just now. I'm sure he'll be obedient and break off the engagement for you. Why do you have to make a bet with him? The Grand Dean frowned. Luo Qingtong had the annulment letter in her hand. He could step forward in this situation. It's all right, Grand Dean. I know what I'm doing. Luo Qingtong looked indifferent. She could indeed ask the Grand Dean to step in and force Yu Wenma to break off the engagement. But what if Yu Wenma got angry and made a mistake with the engagement token? Luo Qingtong couldn't take this risk. She wanted Yu Wenma to take out the engagement token himself. Luo Qingtong and the others left the square. Su Xiao and the others had a lot to say to Luo Qingtong. The Grand Dean didn't disturb them. He still had a lot of things to do. This time, Luo Qingtong came back and suppressed the Great Elder of the Sacred Institute. It was really cool. Originally, the Great Elder of the Sacred Institute had begun to take over the rights of the Grand Dean and the other presidents. The reason was that they had arbitrarily changed the rules of the Sacred Institute of the Empire of Qin and abused their power for personal gain. Now, the Grand Dean wanted to cooperate with his disciple and take back all those rights. Not only that, but he also wanted to take over some of the rights of the Great Elder of the Sacred Institute and the Elders Association. After all, they were so blind to persecute a genius like Luo Qingtong. It really made people doubt their ability. Originally, the Great Elder of the Sacred Institute had the upper hand, but now Luo Qingtong reversed everything. The Grand Dean left with a smile. Ma Chunyi also took a deep look at Luo Qingtong and withdrew from the crowd. He came from behind, and Luo Qingtong did not notice him at all. This time, Luo Qingtong came back in time. The Grand Principal and the others were not the only ones who benefited. Many of the decorations in Ma Chunyi could no longer be used. Furthermore, the reason that King Wu and the others used to attack the Grand Supreme Dean and the others was no longer there. Ma Chunyi could now free up the time to deal with them. He would come back to see Luo Qingtong after he had solved some of his problems. He believed that the girl would not disappoint him. The peaceful Sane Academy of the Empire of Qin was probably going to stir up a storm because of Luo Qingtong's arrival. He was really looking forward to it. There was a faint smile on Mo Chunyi's lips. But soon, he thought of the hidden danger in his body. His gaze instantly turned cold. The person behind Mo Chunyi was too well hidden. No matter how hard Ma Chunyi tried to investigate, he couldn't find any clues at all. If it went on like this, the dragon chi in his body would not be able to hold on. But he didn't know if it was his illusion, but the dragon chi in his body didn't seem to be absorbed like before. Ma Chunyi looked down at his body in confusion. Finally, he didn't think too much and left with the people around him. And the others also left one after another. However, the name of Luo Qingtong was well known in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Almost everyone knew that there was going to be another rare genius in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. Luo Qingtong followed Su Xiao and others out. The group of people looked worried because of the bet between Luo Qingtong and UNMO. Chapter 880. She looked at them and said, That's enough. Don't talk nonsense. There's still a month before the battle. Are you so sure that I'll lose? Hearing her words, Su Xiao and the others' minds became much more active. Yes, Boss had always been capable of doing what others couldn't. 1 month. Maybe when Boss's strength improved, she would beat Yu Wenma until he cried for his parents. As the group of people thought about this, they immediately became spirited again. Boss, don't worry. I'm very familiar with the body refining facilities in the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. At that time, we'll give you all our resources and you can improve your strength. At that time, you'll beat that bastard Yu Wenma to death. Yes. Su Xiao also clenched her fists and said, Boss, I have a lot of medicinal materials and can apply for all kinds of resources. I'll give them all to you at that time. Before, you could improve your strength so much without cultivating in the academy. This time, you'll definitely become more powerful when you return to the Saint Academy. The group cheered for Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong smiled and said, "Well, where are you staying? Take me there." As soon as she said that, Su Xiao and the others stopped talking. What's wrong? Feeling that their expressions were not right, Luo Qingtong raised her eyebrows instantly. "You don't want me to go?" Luo Qingtong said with a faint smile. Her eyes became a little cold in an instant. There was obviously a reason for Su Xiao and the others to change like this. Thinking of the scene when she just came back, Su Xiao and the others were surrounded in the middle and were about to be driven away at any time. Luo Qingtong's eyes flashed with a bloody light. "No!" Su Xiao and the others hurriedly said. How could they dare to let Luo Qingtong misunderstand like this? But alas, "Boss, we're sorry for your teaching." Little Overlord Yuan said dejectedly with his head hung low. "When you didn't come back, those people from the Heavenly Palace of the Holy Academy of the Empire of Qin thought that you wouldn't come back, so they drove us out." At this point, he clenched his fists tightly and lowered his head. "Boss, I'm sorry. We've let you down. We've embarrassed you." Before he could finish, Ling Tianhan's voice rang out beside him. "You can't blame them for this. Boss, this is all my and Yu's fault." Ling Tianhan clenched his fists, his fingers digging into his palms. "Those people were arranged by Yu Wenma and the others. They came for me and Yu. After we were chased out of the Heavenly Palace, the ones who replaced us as heaven-ranked students and moved into our place were Lu Long and the others. They followed Yu and Mo to the Saint Academy of the Empire of Qin. My hand was crippled by the Lu clan before this. This time Lu Long crippled my hand again. They took over our heaven-ranked students' quota and living quarters just to slap Yu and me in the face. At this point, Ling Tianhan was suddenly interrupted by Luo Qingtong. "Where are they? Where are they?" "Boss." Su Xiao and the others looked at Luo Qingtong in shock. "Boss was what?" "Your people were beaten up. You know that you've embarrassed me, but you don't know how to get back at them? Is this what I taught you before?" Luo Qingtong looked at them coldly. She didn't care who sent those people or who they were targeting. She only knew that her people were beaten up, and they were chased out of the Heavenly Palace. Now that they had regained their status as heaven-ranked students, of course they had to get back at them. Moreover, those people were sent by Yu Wenma to target Ling Tianhan and the others. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.